gang that chose us. Pioneers started on my corner like the cold crush. Had smokers lining up the block like a gold rush. The saying live fast and die young is what they told us. The way that they
All right, what's up, YouTube? It's Artisan MC. And for this episode, see, I'm in the shop today because it's Saturday, but I want to give, I guess, a little bit of time to get here because we need to have a conversation about this foundation series and break it down in the sense of what the show is and how it relates or deviates from the novels by Isaac Asimov. So, sent the email and the link to a couple of brothers. Let's see if they remember and show up on time. But in the meanwhile, I don't see any emails in there. So if it works. Otherwise, if it doesn't, we'll just shut this down and I'll do it again later and finish drinking my coffee and catching my duscles. It is what it is. So shout out to AB in the chat. See AB Media. What's good, AB Media? So what's interesting about today? It's Fleet Week today. And I completely forgot that when I agreed to work for Ford tomorrow. Because I love Fleet Week. I like seeing the Blue Angels. And October is my time to start having clam chowder. So I need to go over to the city, which is San Francisco, get to see my Blue Angels in the crowd and get to have me some clam chowder on the board, on the pier. I am, I wouldn't say traditional, but there are certain things that I do every year. And come October, this is one of the things I do every year. I need to see the Blue Angels. I need to go to Pier 39. I need to get me some clam chowder in a sourdough bowl. I need to go buy Weeby knives and see what sword or knife I'm going to buy again. There's certain things I need to do, man. There's just certain things I need to do. You just watched Dave's special. Yeah, I'm going to watch that after this. So if folks don't show up for this, I know I'm supposed to do a panel with Art of Idmore later on today for the Gen X panel, but I'm definitely going to watch the Dave stuff tonight because I've been hearing some stuff. People have been complaining about it or complaining about him, and I think it's like due in the sense that they wanted to have something to complain about him for. He's the next one on the list, but he's smart enough to know that. He's already been through it. So hearing how they coming out against him right now is like, let me see the special and then I'll comment on it and see what I think. Because I'm not going to comment on somebody else's comment. That's stupid. On something I haven't seen. That's just dumb. So I'll watch it and give it my feel on it and see what I think of it. And then I'll tell you guys tomorrow about that because that's one of the things on the list to talk about. Alphabet about some bullshit. Yeah, I know they are. They look, AB, they've been on it for a while. I mean, why do you think Eddie Murphy caught so much heat? They don't like being teased. They really don't. They really don't like being teased and talked about. And as far as I know, as Americans, you can talk about everybody. We all here. That's the downside, I guess, of freedom of speech. Anybody can talk about anybody. We all in the pot together, right? So stop acting like you're not there. Oh my goodness. Waiting for these gentlemen. And I'm playing Pokemon Go. Yes, because there's an event going on right now. And luckily for me, the shop is a Pokestop. So I'm trying to get my catches because I need that shiny Duskull. And I got one, but it's garbage. If D is out there, You know what I mean when I say garbage. It's like the lowest freaking stat you can get outside of a 0. It's like a 1.5. Crap and a half. And all of these are just trash after trash. All right, let me send these brothers an email. Can please review and do a 3. Okay. And I will ring these up for you because that's what I do here. First customer of the day. See her with her son. She got a nice butt too. Soft spoken, feminine. Get my testicles trembling. Me like. I was just on Soul Shader stream. Soul Shader put out another book, Black Boy Survival Guide. I'm happy to know that brother. He's a young brother doing his thing, and I bought his book right then on the spot when I heard about it. I bought his book. So if y'all don't know about Soul Shader Crypto Podcast, go over there and order his book. In the description is the link. The link is in the description, I should say. One second. Did something wrong while I was running my mouth. One second, everybody. Actually charged this nice lady too much money. I had to correct that before she looked at her receipt. All right, $6.60 out of 10. 340 is your change. I like it when my drawers all clean when I get here. All that is facing the right way. But he didn't unwrap any of the change. Okay. Your receipt. $3.40.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys have a good one.
Thank you. You too.
Enjoy your comics. All right, we got 4 people in here now. I just dropped all my dimes in the nickel drawer looking at y'all. All right, this is a live show, folks, so just hold tight for a second. What up, No One? New Baki, gotta check it out. Yeah, I gotta check it out. I don't know who dropped the advertisement in there, but 3000 GTA Lanta. Okay. I have to watch Baki to break it down, and I haven't watched Baki. There's been very few things I've had the time to watch this week, this month. Basically, since I spent every day at work for the last month. Today is no exception. Tomorrow is no exception. That shit will be going on. If I talk to Ford and he says he needs me to cover next week, then that means we'll be into more than a month of working around the clock or working every day of the week. Starting to get a headache from that shit. Hold on 1 second. I got to open this front door. All right. It's hard to get customers when you have the door closed and the close sign on the door. Weird. All right, so what are we doing? Where are we at? Where are my guest hosts? Let me send an email out to these particular brothers. See if they actually coming through or not. So I got a couple of things going on. Like I said, I'm always multitasking. And right now is no exception. Jesus Christ. Art probably sleeping. Jeez. That's good. Let's take him off of there. Add him right there. I'll give him that. And I need a link. Copy that link. And we'll throw that in. All right. Emails away. I think shit is stopping by. That was the plan. So for everybody who doesn't know, you just popped in on this for a hot minute to find out what's going on. Encyclopedia Negrolactica is a term I made up when me and West Coast started reading the Foundation series, pushed supplied to us by BGS Ibmore. And being a sci-fi fan and a book reader, I jumped right into the story once he told me a little bit about it and how closely related to Dune and Star Wars. I was all in. I had never read the series before. Never had read the series, never had read really any Isaac Asimov, even though I understand that he is one of the greats in sci-fi writing. I hadn't read his stuff. I just hadn't done it. Okay. So taking the cue from BGS, and he hooked me up with the books, the audio books, thank you, which made me able to actually read the shit or listen to it. While I was at work, I really got into the story and really loved the series and went through the entire series. How you doing, sir? You need a mask on. Yeah. Nope. White boys rolling with their fist balled up and no mask on. Or you think you're getting hit first? Anyway, so got into the series, read the whole series, really enjoyed the series. And the reason I read the series was because I saw this trailer initially for the Foundation series coming out by David S. Goyer. Scared of that because while I like David S. Goyer, he's like tofu to me. He's better in the broth that he's mixed with than by itself. By itself, I'm not eating it. You just mushy shit in my mouth. But mixed with some other people, his work could be pretty good. So I was very nervous about this and read the book to get ahead of the curve on seeing what the original material was. Like I always tell you guys, go back to the original material and get that first. So when you watch the new stuff, you understand what they've changed, how they've changed it. It may hurt your feelings a little bit. It might, but understand every time any of these properties jump medium, be it a book that's turned into a live action movie, or a book that's turned into an anime, or anime that's turned into a live action movie, or a video game that's turned into a live action movie. It's not going to be exact. Okay, they're going to fuck it up because it's different rules for every playground that you play in. Okay, playground of comics is one thing, playground of movies is another thing completely. Playground of a TV series is another thing, different than what it is for a movie, even though you can watch them both on the screen, completely freaking different. Okay. The only thing the same is that you'll be watching it on the screen. Other than that, it's different consideration that goes into it, different money involved, different players involved, the whole deal, right? So read the series to get up on what this foundation was before the series came out. The series sneakily came out last month, and I was looking forward to it because it's coming out right before Doom. And it's like for a time they were crossing over, like Doom was coming out first and Foundation was coming out afterwards. And then thanks to the pandemic and things getting shuffled around on TV and movies, they switched up the dates. Foundation series came out first. Doom is coming out later this month. Okay, so now I have to rush and get caught up on the Foundation series on Apple TV. And thanks again to BGS, he got the little hookup and got me the first 3 episodes so I can watch those. Now, the funny part about this, I watched the episodes out of order. I think it was because of the email BGS sent. He sent the email. I didn't even read it. I saw, the episodes lined up and I just started watching them, right? So my initial notes on it was, damn, they ain't even introducing these characters any? That's kind of messed up, right? But it wasn't that. It was that I was watching the episodes out of order. So I ended up watching the second episode and the third episode and then the first episode. It's like, oh yeah, well, this makes more sense because here's the introduction to these characters. So knowing ahead of time that we needed to talk about this as soon as the series came out, I tapped West Coast, I tapped BGS, and I tapped Dead Set. I'm like, look, we got to talk about this as soon as it comes out. The series come out, we got to talk about this. We need to go through this a little bit and see what's changed, what's new, what's different outside of what we just saw from the casting list, where some of the characters got gender swapped right off the bat, right? Yeah, in California, yeah. Look, AB, these motherfuckers out here is acting really dumb right now. Really dumb right now. Because it has been put into, you have to do this. Now all this childish or adolescent rebellion is coming out in people, and they just choosing they don't want to have to do it. Look, I was going to talk about this shit tomorrow, but I just saw it again today, right, when I got my breakfast. Now, sure enough, everybody has gone back to work. We're still living in a pandemic, so to speak, and there is spikes right now. California is in a spike right now. I was asked for my papers the other day when I went to one of my favorite whiskey bars to go sit down and have dinner and have me a drink. The woman at the hostess at the counter asked me for my vaccination card, which I don't carry with me. And I told her, no, I don't have it, but I am vaccinated. She's like, all right, let's go. It's like, okay, cool. Now, that was the first time. Not a half hour ago, when I went and picked up my breakfast, they got a big sign up there now saying that you cannot sit in the lobby and indoor dine without your vaccination card. You have to show it to them before you can sit down and indoor dine. That wasn't the case before, because mind you, for the last, 5 months since they opened things back up, people have been sitting in there eating the whole time. Mask on or not, vaccination card or not. So it's really interesting to me how people was, cowering the house a year ago, and now they out there just, all buck with themselves, like, oh, I don't have to wear my mask and this vaccination stuff, and it's all fake. Then why were you in the house last year? Why were you in the house if it's fake? Please tell me. Don't get out here with this Tony Tough Guy shit now. Look, I really have no patience for it, and I keep hearing people trying to kick that in my ear that, oh, the virus is still fake and you don't need to wear your mask and it's not a law, you can't make me wear it. And I'm like, okay, take your own life into your hands. I don't want to hear you crying about it when you catch something. I don't want to hear that at all. So seeing that even my favorite restaurant is taking it serious enough to where they are telling you, don't even come in there and think you're about to sit down and eat without your vaccination card. This has turned into what you need to move through society. One second. Standard comments. None right now. So it is what the hell it is with these people. Oh, my order shipped. Nice. I think that's the Soul Shader book that just sent. I think that's the Soul Shader. Be here in 10. Okay, we got one person said he'll be here in 10. Thank you, sir, for responding in the chat. So I don't know what everybody's problem is. I don't know who got their ass up on their shoulders now. They feel like they're invincible all over again. But look, you watch too much shit over the last year to go out here now in the world and act stupid. Really, I do not freaking get that at all. I really don't get that at all. All right, coming to the stage, we got our first guest in the back. If he is ready, he said 10 minutes, and then he's here instantly. That's how them esoteric motherfuckers do, boy. They pop up on your ass. So coming to the stage, Doth. Ain't shittest. Is in the building. Master teacher.
Hey, what's up, Artisan?
The Pusher Man. What's good, BGS?
What's going on?
Not much. I'm just wondering where these brothers at. I'm like, hey, look, you holding up progress right now. I was like, 5 more minutes, I was gonna shut this motherfucker down because I can talk for like 8 hours.
I know you can.
I'm bullshit, but I was just relating to them. I was gonna send you the picture to where went to my favorite restaurant with the Latinas.
Oh,
they got
okay.
that sign up there now about you have to show your vaccination card if you want to sit down and eat in there.
Oh yeah.
Or else get the hell out.
Oh yeah. It's
without your vaccination card, boy. Show me your papers.
Yeah, next month, LA County, man, it's you can't go in any place public without your vaccination.
No, and I don't know. And I was just on the stream, and I had a guy walk in here without the mask, even though we got the sign on the window that says you need to wear your mask. He walked in with no mask on, and then looked like he got offended because I told him you got to put a mask on. So he turned around and left.
It's called state law, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
been that way for a year and a half.
Look, I listened to my landlord. She was bitching about this shit because she just came back from Texas, staying with her husband. That's a whole situation I have to share with you privately because that's some dumb shit. Some really dumb shit in winter. It's some dumb shit. No, her situation is really fucking dumb.
Okay.
But she came back, and so now she's bitching about having to wear these masks and stuff going to these places because she didn't have to do that in Texas. Well, she's from California. What the fuck are you talking about? That's what we doing here. So she's bitching about it. Said, well, that's not a law. You have to show me the law. They ain't got to show you shit. They don't. They
No.
put the sign up every business. I get the emails now too about this is what you need to do for your business, motherfucker. No, they don't have to show you shit. They can show you the door. They show you. You can look at all this product from the outside the door, but you can't come in without this.
You had the right to refuse service
To anybody. That's
to
been
anybody.
law forever.
Mm-hmm.
Look, tell my establishment. You gotta have a mask on. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Check me a little bit. You can be dumb all you want to. Fine. Go do it. But don't bring that idiocracy around me. I'm not trying to catch it.
If she's from California, she just lived through this stuff, man, where people were getting sick and dying. So
yeah, you would think. I love these brothers having a whole conversation about Baki in my chat, and that ain't what the topic of the fucking show is.
Baki.
Get Kevin to start booting y'all motherfuckers.
Talking about the Baki decision?
No, the Baki animation.
Oh, the Baki animation. Okay.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and I don't know who this person is. This 3000 is, but they came in here advertising the shit, and everybody's talking about it now.
Oh, okay.
But I've never seen this person before, so I don't know who they are. But okay, we're talking about they talking about Baki in the chat. Anyway, I'm running the show. I can't be sitting there reading the chat the whole fucking time. But MMA is no match for boxing. He got about one more suspect comment, and I'm gonna block his ass. Ejectocito, cuz. Sorry. So how you doing today, BGS?
Pretty good, man. How's the shop going?
It's going. So I had to deal with some stuff with my co-worker today or yesterday. So yeah, I think he ain't feeling the situation. So keep trying to talk to me like I'm his employee. Yeah. I ain't actually pushed it to like. No, technically, I don't have to answer any questions to anybody because I'm paying rent.
That's true.
I'm paying this motherfucker. I'm paying for most of this shit now. So I shouldn't be answering any goddamn question for anybody who ain't put in a dime.
Very true.
Don't talk to me. Don't raise that to my volume. You maintain low tones. So let's see. What is this? West Coast said he on the way or not gonna make it? Oh, he said he's still out. I hope you watch this later, West Coast. Fuck! You knew.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know, one monkey don't stop no show. It's okay. It's okay. I will say the geek talk for tomorrow. It's cool, Swift. It's just, you know, when people do a show, they like you to actually be commenting on what the show is about. But if you're going to run a whole side conversation about some other shit that's not related to what the topic of the conversation is, you know what that's called? It's called fucking crosstalk. It's like you running a meeting and two motherfuckers over here having a whole loud ass conversation about nothing about the meeting. It's disrespectful as fuck. And black folks do that shit a lot.
Yeah, they do. They
on
do.
purpose.
Yeah. Why do you come to somebody?
They want somebody to say something to them. That's juvenile. You need that kind of attention. Come on, man.
Yeah. Why do you come to somebody else's stream so you can chat and talk about what you want to talk about?
No shit.
That makes sense.
As I understood it, because mind you, I sat in the chat for a long time before this man right here ever invited me on the panel, or I ever even jumped on, got my nuts up to be in his panel to say something. Even then, I was sitting there like, "Can I speak?" For a long time before I got in there and talked, and even then, I understood the etiquette of the place, where it's talk about what the topic is.
What topic is? You come right into the flow.
Damn stream. Who wants to watch the stream later on and see this chat stream going on? And it's all conversation about not the topic. Who wants to look at that shit?
Yeah, and I always say everybody here has a channel, whether you put something up on it or not. Talk about what you want to talk about.
That's how I understood the BGS. Every one of these icons up here with a name or not has their own channel. So you can spout your own bullshit all day long. Yeah. If you thought somebody would watch it.
That's the problem.
Don't matter. When I started this streaming with nobody in here, you see, I still fired up and kept talking because fuck it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's where I started. Everybody does.
Everybody does.
Everybody does.
No worries, Swift. You okay? You know you cool, Swift, and no one, because y'all in here all the time. Y'all support me. Y'all rock with me. I can't say I know who this other person is. I can't say that. Can't recall seeing them in my chat before. Can't say that. But the first thing they did when they showed up, didn't even say hello, was just start advertising some other show. Okay. I know when I do my streams and I do a tandem with my Twitch channel, I always get somebody from the Twitch side jumping in and throwing in advertisements for other shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know who it is, personally. But that's, for me, that's just etiquette, and that's just kind of fucking rude. So that's why it irritates me, because I don't know about y'all, but I told you I'm not a street nigga. By any sense, my family was kind of middle class and kind of big on etiquette, because my great grandfather, you know, was deep in Arizona, and he ran the house slaves. In a sense. he ran all the butlers and maids and stuff like that in the governor's mansion. So etiquette is a big thing in my family.
Okay.
That's filtered down through the rest of the family. Everybody understand that fucking etiquette, like what fork to use and how to speak proper English and all that. We understand that shit, because it was your life if you did it wrong. Okay. My family came with the original settlers to Arizona as slaves. So we understand that shit very clearly. So I understand etiquette in certain places can slip, but black folks get real bad about not wanting to use that shit at all. There is a way that you interact with people. Okay, I did enough bitching about that. So yeah, Double C, exactly the point, Double C. Like, come on, man. You don't know what the topic is, shut up and listen and ask. No, what happens here, Double C? 2 more seconds on this, BGS, and then we're gonna push up. What happens is, Double C, more often than not nowadays, motherfucker won't know what the topic is, but they want to jump on the panel, and now the whole conversation has to stop because they want somebody to catch them up on what the conversation was. Get your ass back to the chat, sit down in the pews, come up here with the deacons. That's not how it works in Congress, is it? You showed up late to the proceedings. You don't get to walk up to the Diaz and ask the Speaker of the House, so what are we talking about? What are we deciding today? You know, how y'all doing? You know, I just came from this other meeting. No, motherfucker. You will get security called on you. Sit your ass down in your seat and hope you're just a representative.
Talk to your assistants.
Yeah, talk to your assistants. Catch you up, your pages or somebody. No, you don't disrupt the whole proceedings for your late ass. No, not for the catch up. Nobody 3000. Say hello, man. Just be polite. It's cool. It's cool. You can actually see me, so you know if I'm pissed off or not. I can't hide it. Look, not that poker, but I have got older. I don't have a good poker face. I don't.
I've never seen you.
I see you. I see your disdain on your face.
Yeah, that's true.
Now I don't have to tell you.
That is true.
Save me some time.
Not that you wouldn't tell them.
Not that I wouldn't tell them, but look, even when I'm being polite, motherfuckers think that's the harshest shit they've ever heard. And I'm like, dude, that was really gentle. What are you talking about? Y'all need to get tougher skin. I got it. What's the problem? Still hurting for that Sinatra Select. No one? You still hurting for some Sinatra Select? Well, no one. What's up, Herb?
What up?
Herb, what up?
Hey.
So, we're streaming. What's up, Toya? BTM, Black Lives Matter in the building.
Yeah. Toya know what I like on her, but I ain't gonna talk about it.
Look, Toya thirst trap.
I know.
Toya on my Instagram. She put some pictures up there, and I was like, motherfucker, what? What is showing off a lot, sister? Like, okay, I like eye candy. Eye candy is tasty.
And what they say, if you got it, flaunt it.
Man, if you got it, flaunt it. I said, I still okay. It is what it is. We got another man in the building. Let's see if this brother want to come up. He must have heard me. He must have felt me talking shit. I am strong in the force, y'all. I am strong in the dark side. What up, West Coast?
Peace, brothers. Peace.
Did you feel the disturbances in the forest?
Man, so like I'm like out and about. I thought that this was on Sunday. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, all right.
You thought it was on Sunday?
I thought it was on Sunday.
Well,
'Cause I
Sunday
just-
I got my shop talk stream, so I already have my stuff planned out for Sunday. So that's why I put it on Saturday and put it up early so you guys can see it, get the alert that it was actually 2 separate streams because I'm double dipping already. I'm supposed to be on Art stream, Art Ibmore's Gen X stream later on today, so I got a couple hours to do this, and then I got to bounce off of here and go.
Yeah. I was just I was just on Charles's stream a minute ago, so
okay.
That's how come I was actually
yeah.
late.
Okay. I saw Charles went live. I was on the way to the shop when I went live.
They had
this ladies. I'm like, this motherfucker woke up ready for some red meat. Huh?
He had a situation with AL that I had to talk about. Go ahead and give him some advice. So that's how come I was actually late. So
what did AL do to him?
No, it's not AL. It was something that happened with AL's family. But you can go, later on, you can actually see the stream and see what he was talking about. It's something to do with his daughter. So it was a little bit serious. So I had to stop in, and I said I can get my little 2 cents in.
So, I got you.
About it. Yeah, that's all.
Mediate.
Yeah.
Mediate, commiserate.
Yeah, give a little advice. That's all.
That's good. You're a good counselor. You got that calming voice now. And what have you learned?
Whatever you learned.
And Bill button.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Yeah.
Let's go. So, all y'all playing at home is 40 minutes in, and now we will get into the foundation talk with the mention of Billy Button. So, West Coast, why don't you give your little salutations and whatnot so we can get into it. So I might close this door because it's like way loud outside today.
Peace. What's going on, family? My overall take of Foundation so far.
Yeah, just whatever. Say who you are, just in case they haven't seen your show. Pump your channel, which I don't tell people to do often, but pump that shit.
No, of course.
Get my oos out.
Y'all still doing that? Are you and what's his name still doing it? Your channel?
Me and Brother Seventh. It's still up. It's still up. We've been it's been on a bit of a hiatus. We just been getting things figured out. But
y'all making money in the background. That's what it is. Y'all grinding. You ain't got time.
It's like the dojo been closed for a while.
They out there grinding, making some money. That's what they doing. So
that's what they're doing. They grinding it out. So it's like okay,
deep meditation.
Deep meditation, training, more training, right? Training up in the hills.
Man, with so much information, you just need time to process it. And
all you got to remember two things: wax on, wax off.
Exactly. And it's just finding a balance between getting information, sending it out, being able to actually apply it, because everything just happens and everything in due season. But we are the Seven Coast Dojo. Me and my counterpart, the Seven Sensei, and I'll get that YouTube link plugged. But yeah, life's just been hectic. Life has been busy. Speaking of foundation and just understanding math, one of the things that I was super excited about and that I liked aesthetically was just seeing the foundation imagery in real time. The prime radiant and the way that they showed it expand. I'm just like, yo,
that's dope.
This is what I was looking for.
It's like I wonder if they sell those.
I wouldn't be mad if they had that type of merch going on. I have a little prime radiant sitting at my desk while I'm coding. Be the best.
That'd be some shit.
No, but yeah, we can get into it though. I'll drop the link for our channel while we get into the discussion. Cool. Discussions at Bill.
I'm not gonna tell BGS to pump his channel because if you don't know who the hell BGS is, I don't know where the hell you've been. 1 second. You have to be more specific.
Do we want to start with the overview? Got the gender swapping?
Yeah.
See,
Sorry. Somebody asked me
Because
vague questions on the phone, like I want to hear a vague ass question. Do you have any?
yeah, because
What?
because you know I like that they kept the elements in it, and you can tell they spent a lot of money on this thing, man. Probably way more money than it's actually going to bring back. So I think that the geeks and Apple just wanted to see it get made, and less about making money from it.
I can
So
see that.
yeah,
The money was spent. I can see that. Special effects
yeah,
wise,
especially the funk.
like I was saying, eye candy. Oh, I was loving the eye candy.
Yeah, yeah.
Special effects was getting me. It's like, damn, that's a good effect.
They spent some money, you know, locations and all that kind of stuff, special effects, you know even the structure, because a lot of that stuff, some of that stuff was you can tell wasn't just digital. Those were actually models that they actually built.
Yeah,
You can
built
tell
from
the difference,
practical models.
like the space elevator. That was a
Yeah,
model. You could tell
orbital
there's
elevator.
too much detail. Yeah,
Yeah, the orbital elevator was a model, and then the ship to Terminus, the
yeah,
Encyclopedia ship that was going to Terminus, that was a model too.
yeah.
It looked kind of sketchy in one part in the I think it was the first or second episode when they were showing on Selden and they pulled out of his room
Mm-hmm.
outside the ship. Like it's like, okay, that's a model. It's a model
Mm-hmm.
with a green screen in it.
Yeah,
But
I'll be right back, y'all.
but it looked cool. I really liked the way that the tech was represented and how they used it in the special effects. It wasn't overdone. What else was there? It just the overview so far. So first 3 episodes, I'm guessing they're still in the first book, even though it looks like they took from the second book. I think they're still pretty much in the first book, but I like the way it's going back and forth to where you're seeing something happening already, and they're just hearkening back to what happened beforehand and filling you in on what happened while the story keeps moving forward. To me, that's one of the best ways to do a story about characters that either live a long time or have a long time span that you're trying to go through. Don't start at the fucking beginning. You don't have to start necessarily at the origin, especially if you got 7 books to go through. You don't need to start at the origin. Start at this point on the line and then move forward. And as you move forward, you can harken back. You can flash back to these other points
Right.
where they're relevant in the present, so you can keep moving the story forward. But you don't have to start exactly at the beginning and then start moving forward. You'll never get through the book that way.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even grab people. I mean, so with the episode starting off where, well, the first episode for me, which was episode 2, which was,
you saw episode 2 before you saw 1.
Look, I don't know if you want to blame it on BGS or what, but there was 3 things lined up in there.
Oh, the link.
Okay.
2,
Oh,
3,
yeah.
1.
Yeah.
And I watched 2 and was like,
This doesn't make sense.
He's gonna introduce these characters. I don't know who this dude is. Who's this tall black dude? And then when I got to the 3rd episode for me, it was the first episode, and they were introducing everybody. I was like, oh, I watched them out of order. Okay.
Out of order. Yeah.
It's okay.
I mean,
I got that kind of brain. I can piece it back together. Well, it's weird.
I think that was cool though. I mean, in regards to timing and sequence, because we know how the book plays out and how it's written. It's more social. It's more of a social lens. So it's the world in itself that you have to buy into, and the way that knowing the backstory of the story, trying to bring that to screen. I think that probably is the most challenging part, because how do you make characters relevant that, for all intents and purposes, may or may not be there? A few people aside, I think that they did an okay job of portraying that. I this is where my hope comes in at. What they did with Raish, what they did with Raish as a character, I'm just gonna take it how the geeks who know Marvel comics or may know DC. Matter of fact, we'll just stick with Marvel. Marvel as its own timeline versus the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where there are elements and they're adapting it to screen, but just taking it as that. I'm just waiting to see how it unfolds. I think aesthetically it looks good. From a book geek perspective, I'm a bit upset because I'm just like, look, I
I
know
knew
They,
what
you
Race
would.
was
I knew
doing
you
out
would be.
yeah,
there. I knew what
basically what they did was they took the elements of the spine of the story and they rewrote around it because
Yes, they did.
yeah, which if you
Undertaking.
so I after the first episode I said okay, you have to accept that this is going to be actually a unique experience.
Hmm.
Forget the
Mhm.
book, forget the book, okay, because the one thing that the one thing that kind of got me because I had to figure out was Demerzel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
said that it was so why I said now Demerzel. So why would you make Demerzel a woman? And then I thought okay they didn't show I think it was Doors.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So what
doors
I
is missing.
missing? So what I think they did was combine the character.
Really?
Yeah, like I think that for
I
me
think
that was a problem. I wanted to see doors. I
yeah
did want to see
Yes.
doors. I
yeah
really did want to see doors. Demerzel being swapped. Me and you were talking about this last week, BGS.
it didn't
The
bother you
fact
that
that
much. Yeah
Demerzel is
A
a robot
robot.
in a
yeah
So it
sense.
doesn't
Okay, you
matter.
can have a different skin.
yeah
Okay, fine. I'll accept. I'll give you that without you even saying it. I'll give
yeah
it to
Mhm.
you. Okay, but there ain't no doors in this motherfucker. Like,
yeah
dude, she's like part of the linchpin of the story.
right
She's part of
Mhm.
Harry's journey.
yes
You need her there
yeah
in a sense.
yeah
And
So
it didn't and it didn't add up because although I was happy to see Rachel's Billy Button Blade, like I was like,
I know
that's
you
that.
were.
See,
I know
this is
you
the
were.
blade. This is the blade.
the
And
I
blade.
then,
knew you were.
and then when they flipped it, like, oh yeah, I came from the heat sinks and where my father was a drum. I'm like, see,
What?
you'd have to know the book in order for you to be upset about that moment
Yeah.
in regards to their interaction, the conflict,
Mhm.
and so that yeah, I'm trying to just give a portrayal first impression of
Yeah.
the actual project itself before I go into my geek rant in regards to
Yeah,
Foundation
because
because
I think what we're probably going to have to do eventually is just do a screening and talk
Mhm.
about the elements because
yeah.
because because I had to go back and look up these characters and say, wait a minute.
Like
You just
who's
said
who?
you
I'm
got to
like,
be just like,
Yeah,
wait
wait
a
a minute.
goddamn minute.
Wait
Like,
a minute. That's who's that?
well,
what?
you know,
So
it's worse for me because I'm watching them out of order, so I'm seeing characters. I'm
Uh,
like, who the fuck is this? Why won't
yeah,
they say this person's name? Who is this? I'm like,
yeah,
oh, that's Raish. He's too
yeah,
tall. He's supposed to
yeah.
be
too
short.
He's
tall.
was short. Yeah,
Yeah, he's supposed to be
Boy,
short. This is a tall ass brother. But
this is
yeah.
where I
goddamn, dude.
disagree.
Because it's a female story. He wanted to be female eye candy, which is what they used him for.
Yes, that
And
was
then
all they used him for. And now
then they gender swapped
The
Gail.
main
Gale,
Gail
yeah, that's what I
Dornick.
was like who the? I said this is because mind you, I'm watching it out of order, so I'm like,
Yeah,
so who is this chick again? Oh,
yeah,
this is Gale. I said they made Gale a girl too. I'm like,
Hey,
yeah.
is
girl,
every man turned into a female in this shit?
It was
And it's like, what?
Salvor Hardin was a female.
Was another
mm-hmm.
one. I'm like, that's Salvador. Oh my
Yeah,
nigga, what,
yeah,
what are you
yeah.
doing?
What are you doing? Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of, BGS? That look, they have adapted it to this time. So this isn't Foundation. This is Foundation in living color. Uh, people of this is the people of color version. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest with you.
POC
it
foundation.
really is a POC foundation,
It
which
is.
It's a POC foundation. You
which
make the women the lead, and then the
yeah,
guy, then the tall black male as a support figure. So the
yeah,
idea of women can lead, and then the man being the support. There's a
yeah,
whole. Let me take it slow. Let me take it slow. But
Take your time with it, brother. Take your time with it.
so yeah, this was definitely a foundation in living color adapted to modern times. If you don't know
mhm,
who Gail Dornick was as an
mhm,
individual, then we understand that this is a whole different. This is Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Foundation. I'm just
Yeah,
yeah,
taking it as
indeed.
that
yeah.
because
It's a woke version. It's a woke
Woke,
version
yeah,
of
it's
Foundation.
very woke
woke
version.
nation.
Yes,
Yes,
Woken
I
in,
mean,
exactly.
woken in is happening right
yeah,
now.
yeah. I mean, yeah. But the thing, if you have never read the books, then it would be the characters were actually written fairly well. I have to
Mhm.
give them
Yeah,
credit. It wasn't that they were There's a couple of elements where I think it was Salvador actually, with no mathematical training, actually understood the you know
The
you know
primary.
primary radiant, and said, okay. It's like all of a sudden I have no training, I don't know what it is, but all of a sudden I see something in it. Said,
Right.
really? Or you be her being able to, the only one to be able to approach the cube,
Right.
the vault.
Right.
Yeah.
That was actually interesting too. I'm like, okay, so she's the only one. So, because I know the books, I'm like, so is she a second foundationist? Is that what you're telling me? She's special?
Is
She's a
right.
mutant? You're telling me she's a mutant, right? Like, okay, fine. I'm like, okay, I'm letting them tell me what their story is, but understand, I already know the real material. So every one of these beats, I'm just sitting here matching it up. I'm like, okay, this is where we take this variant string. Okay.
Where I anticipate, I think that they're blending both the story of the traders, which you have, I think it was Hugo, and then you have the Encyclopedias, which is its own story, and
Right.
they're meshing it together. So
Right.
I think it's just going to be like a Jamba Juice blend of both elements of the traders
Jamba
and
Juice.
the Encyclopedias. Because that's where
Yeah.
I was waiting for those beats. It's like, all right, I already know that Gil, book wise, he's already done, and we're going into the Encyclopedias once we, reach this particular standpoint. But now you have her narrating, and you have her floating out in space after Raish ends up doing what he does,
Yeah,
which
which
leaves
is
a
some
whole
bullshit.
nother, like, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
wasn't happy about that part. I was happy when I found out who he was because I knew you'd be happy about it. And when he popped up with the Billy Button blade, I'm like, oh yes,
yeah, that's a
fuck you doing
Bill.
with that dude?
What?
Like
That's a
it turned him into an evil Arnold and shit. Like, look,
Yeah,
this
you know
was
that.
the evil Mr. Drummond all of a sudden. Rach
Mhm.
don't like him all of a sudden. Like, what is this shit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
That's
yeah,
not how that relationship worked. Like, okay, whatever. Let's tell me your story. Just tell me your
Like
story.
that
Yeah,
backmail
kinda
surf.
pissed me off.
All I could think about was ConcuSurf. Like, all
Man,
right, like
Yeah.
Selden, oh, he's this, benevolent being to save this little black boy from out the heat sinks. But he had this broken past. Now he has to be the support role for Gail and Harry as they go. It's like it's too the symbolism, which I think that can be discussed after we get past the overview. As far as keeping to beat of what they society is taking us in regards to people's particular position. I mean, they hook,
Yeah,
line, and sinker.
yeah, they passing the torch from male to female, from
yeah,
male mentor to you know to the next female in line.
Mhm.
not even passing it. It's just they just got it. Don't worry about it.
You good?
Yeah, you good. You got this. Go ahead, work ahead.
Yeah, so basically they kept the elements, but they just like they said, the spine of it, the elements of it, but they basically rewrote a whole new story,
Yeah.
a whole
Yeah,
new
they
book.
basically did.
It's like if psychohistory went in, and I think that's smart. I'll give them that because psychohistory isn't a perfect science and that any one thing can, in regards to variation, can change. One can argue that, all right, this is a possible variation of what may have happened if things went in this particular way.
Yeah.
Versus
That's a good way to take it, West Coast. I didn't think of that. I was just, I do pretty well with divorcing some of these things from the original material,
Mm-hmm.
but this one was blaring at me in a way that I don't know because I've been ingesting too much of this crap, having to see it.
Yeah.
It was bothering me a little bit more because look, I'm already in the bag for this foundation series since getting the books. You already know I'm in the bag for it. So I'm
Yeah.
really loving this material. I understand that, David S. Goyer ain't the best person to be adapting this material.
You said that.
I
Yeah,
told
you did say
told you
that.
there's gonna be some of that bullshit in there. Right?
You did say that.
I told you that. I know what I've seen enough of his work to know, like I told him in the beginning, he liked tofu. He better mix with something than by itself. Right?
Okay.
I don't want you by myself. You ain't in no chicken broth, dude. No. But I knew I was going to see something, so I'm
Somebody said
not overly shocked.
no one said Foundation What If series. And
Man,
that's what it looks like. That's
damn
exactly
near.
what it looks like.
Let me ask y'all, what did you think about what they did with the Emperor Cleon and splitting them up into 3 pieces?
I like
Uh,
it.
yeah,
That's cool.
it was
Brother
interesting.
Dave.
Yeah. Which is very esoteric, and how they call them. Uh, uh,
Brother Dawn, Brother
yeah,
Day,
Brother Dawn, yeah, Brother Day, and Brother Dusk, yeah,
Brother Dusk,
yeah,
and then Brother Darkness,
yeah.
which like I know you
Brother
probably
Dawn.
caught the symbolism behind that
Yeah,
when
well, yeah. That's there's always a Trinity, right? And it depending on how you depict the Trinity. And so morning, morning, day, and night, or morning, day, and evening, and then night is always is death. And what is death or night give into a new dawn? So basically, the baby was a new dawn. So
Mhm.
that's what he called the baby when the baby was decanted and she came out before they actually evaporated him.
Right, going into and
Yeah.
even the from darkness,
Thank you,
right?
brother.
Taking the ashes and then marking the baby with
Yeah.
darkness's ashes, which
Yeah.
the Christian parallel between that as far as that particular symbolism on
Yeah.
the like being on the nose.
Yeah.
So that being its full circle, that part was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the blended character of Doors and Demerzel, right?
Yeah.
And basically Demerzel is now the mother of the empire, right? She's actually being the mother to them all. So that's it. So just how Doors was actually the companion and mother, almost like a mother figure to Harry Seldon and even Wraith. That's what I kind of saw with the character. I said, okay, I could kind of understand what they did with it. It's still I didn't like it, but I said I can understand them blending the character.
You saying blended? I'm sorry, I had to talk to Joe Herb. Everybody, Joe Herb just left the building.
Joe Herb is leaving the building.
Yeah, he left the building. He left the building, but he had questions. He had questions on books. And since, like I was just telling you, BGS, Joe Herb is actually paying him.
Okay.
Look, I'm an old Joe Herb, free comics for a while, because I'll tell you, him and Scott have donated to that GoFundMe for the shop heavy. And brother is on board and supporting. So you got questions, I will take this time and answer his damn questions.
Oh,
Hey, yeah.
Most fervently.
Peace to Joe Herb.
peace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
piece of Herb. Herb got it.
You know what? There's another character that they blended with Demerzel.
Okay.
Who's that?
It was in that fourth. It was the fourth the foundation. No, not fourth the foundation. It was the one. The last in when
Foundation and was it Foundation and Earth or Foundation?
Foundation and Earth.
Yeah.
When well, I have to say his name the way that Brad said it. Golan Trevi.
Golden.
Okay.
Yeah, Golden.
When they had that scene with the hermaphrodite baby and how they was growing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's also a blend as well, as far
Is
as
it?
because that's where at least that concept of Demerzel understanding his role as far as him being a robot,
Mhm.
he still needs a human to interact with. And
Right.
so we didn't get into the whole baby farming thing until the end, all the way into the end. As far
Right,
as,
right.
Yeah, because we really didn't know that Demerzel was a robot until the end.
Yeah, to the very end. Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Outside of, having meta knowledge outside of the story. The story
Yeah.
didn't tell you that.
Yeah,
So later, Demerzel just showed up. He chased this motherfucker for a while.
yeah,
Then he's like, now you on your path. I'm out of here. Like, where is he going?
Mhm.
Like,
yeah, yeah. That's
just
like
peace out, just call it a day. That's it.
You know what? And I like that little, not even an Easter egg, but what I liked about seeing Demerzel in action, we got to see how gangster he was in
Mhm.
regards to his role when he was out, when he was not with Harry Seldon, right? When he
Right.
had to play the particular role. So
Yeah.
when Harry found out that Demerzel was
Head Cheddar
what was-
Humming. No.
yeah,
Cheddar.
Cheddar Humming, he was
Mhm.
like, that is Demerzel. like the person that you've been running from.
Oh
Yeah,
Basically,
the movie control
he's
team.
running from Demerzel, and he shows up with the mayor Y.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Mayor
Yeah,
Wise.
and
Exactly.
he said this is Cheddar Hummer. No fool, that's Demerzel.
Right. Like you've been rolling. So for me, when brother Day was investigating who bombed the foundation's
Oh yeah.
tower,
Yeah.
and Demerzel was out making his rounds, and you just see how how gangster how gangster Demerzel
Oh
is.
yeah,
He's
yeah. When
like
she
Mhm.
shot that chick.
he's like, yeah, I
Yeah,
shot you in the throat. You had
yeah,
this amount of time to live. Make sure the words that you speak. It was like, but you did
yeah.
this.
That
Mhm.
was gangster. That was
Yeah, it was
gangster.
gangster. Yeah.
That was West Coast gangster. Like, paraphrase it. Speak now.
It's me. Yeah.
Got 30 seconds.
but
Make them good.
But I was wondering though. Here's what I'm wondering because we
Uh,
know how Demerzel moves, right? He has that
mm,
face. I'm wondering if I'm wondering if Demerzel was a person that the lady was interacting with, and she's looking at her like, "Why did you shoot me? Like you the one who, you the one who had me set this up." So
It
I don't know if
could
it's
be.
a double cross.
It
might
could
have been.
be.
That's why she shot her in the throat. People from talking.
Yeah, or
And
like
she was
how
with the real
Brother Dusk when Brother Dusk was with the religious cult.
Mhm,
And Dimmers are like, yeah, we need to get you up out of here, and
mhm.
just looking around. What if that was also another element where he's behind the scenes pulling these strings, but he has to be delicate in how he's
He handles it.
interacting to make sure that
It,
the
it, it,
facade is
it,
accurate.
it could be,
Might
but
be.
I think they're too heavy-handed to think like that, though.
True, but there was a little knowing like glance between
Mm-hmm.
the religious cult and Demerzel, and that's what the religious cult leader was like. Yeah, that thing is not welcoming you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm
Well,
like, I don't even know him. That's part of the royal guard. Who you talking to?
Well, I think that the brother Dusk has been there before because that's where he wanted to go. So he's
Right.
talked to this guy before. So they talked to him as equals. So what are you going to do? Kill me?
Yeah,
You want to
but
talk to me?
he's talking to Brother Dust, but he's referring to Demerzel. The
Yeah,
Demerzel,
he's a machine. Yeah,
right? Like he
yeah,
knows. Like
he does. Yeah.
that's not. I don't think that's like common knowledge for everybody. Even though they kind of broke that
Hmm.
with what is it, Brother Dawn seeing Demerzel repairing himself, itself,
Hmm.
Mm.
right?
Which I thought was really weird because a half naked woman and a child. He's staring at the half naked woman. I said, okay,
Mhm.
yeah,
Kind of,
I see where y'all going with this shit, man. You
kind
trying
of
to
Mary
hide?
Jane, Laternal in
Yeah,
that scene. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah, a
what are
little
you
bit there.
doing? You like
Yeah,
half naked with this young child in there. That ain't your
yeah,
baby.
yeah, yeah,
Like, okay. I
yeah.
was like,
That,
that
that
was a
was
bit much because then it ruins it that there's a reveal that this person is not actually human. They just spoiled that like right in the beginning of the
Yeah,
show.
like
I'm
off
like,
top.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I
I
would have
think they
just been
wanted.
happy with her being weird for like 4 episodes.
Yeah.
But okay.
But I think that may go into the adaptation piece where they don't
Mhm.
have time to. They're trying to make a sociological story psychological where you can buy into somebody. And I think at
Right.
least knowing Demerzel as an entity,
Hmm.
it would be the only individual who would be able to stand the test of time and connect all of these years
Hmm.
between each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And
getting
that's
to know Demerzel as an individual, and I don't know how they're gonna do Gail because yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
what they're gonna do.
yeah, what they're gonna do with it because I was looking, I was waiting to see what they're actually gonna do with it because what they did doesn't make sense and what
no.
Rafe did to her doesn't make sense.
Well, that
Mhm.
It's got to be something because I know between him and Harry planned that. It wasn't just a reaction because
Exactly.
he looked like, okay, you weren't part of this plan. You're not supposed to be here. Okay, there's a
Mhm.
reason that I did this, and there's a reason that you can't be here. And so
yeah. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, in other words, you walked into on our plan because I can't believe, I don't believe that what happened to Harry between Harry and Race was an accident. I think it was actually planned by Harry because Harry said he didn't believe that number one, he didn't believe he would actually be sent to terminus with everybody else. and I don't think
Right.
he wanted to
He's
be
not supposed
there.
to be there.
Yeah, he's not supposed to be there. How do you get rid of him, right? And so I
Mhm.
think he didn't want it to land. And I think that Last Supper, that almost it was almost like the Last Supper when they sat down and ate
Yeah.
and he shook everybody's hands and stuff. I said, this is
Right.
weird. I said, okay, and then it made sense once you saw what happened.
Right. That would lead into why Raish was acting all weird with him and
Mhm.
being really like upset and stuff
Yeah,
at the table and having a dispute. Like it would be all play acted to
yeah,
build
I
up
got a
there was some
theory.
kind of conflict between them
yeah,
when it shouldn't be at all. Because look, having read the stories, look, that motherfucker rescued you from belly bottom.
yeah. But,
He
Yeah,
look,
that's
you handling your business, but he rescued you.
he
So
rescued, but also Harry Seldon loved him like a
like a
son.
son. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
hmm
real. So and they had that respect for each other. So
yeah,
to see this in the movie, that's why in the show, that's why it was kind of upsetting for me. It's like, come on, man, don't do this. I really
yeah,
like that story. I
yeah,
really like that story between um Raish and then the other little kid that he rescued that was hella smart. He came back and got him with that scholarship. I'm like,
yeah.
that shows some humanity in Harry Seldon that he actually cares for these dudes, and these dudes actually end up being some of his strongest supporters. So
Yeah,
to believe in all that,
if you're gonna do something like that in the show between Wraith and Harry Seldon, you should at least explain it,
You know
and they
what?
never
I
did.
think I think they're doing that on purpose. So if you remember Harry, when he was on the ship and talking to Gail, one of the crew members walked past and was like, "Hey, what's going on, Harry?" He's
Yeah,
like, "Harry." It's
he
like, "I
used to be
haven't been
doctor.
called."
they
He's
used to
like,
be doctor. Yeah,
I've been Dr. Soden this whole time." And then Gail was like, "Yeah, we've been on this ship for so long. How do you not expect for people to get familiar with you?"
yeah,
So I think that where they may be going, and I'm thinking about that image of Harry Seldon where the encyclopedia is right before, the third episode.
hmm
One part of his plan is he needs to be deified because one of the pieces of lore is the Seldon crisis, like the
yeah,
Mhm.
crisis. So in order for that lore to become more palatable or actually establish itself, there needs to be a level of mystery or a set of distance.
hmm
Um,
Mhm.
One thing that I noticed with Gail as she was narrating was when the encyclopedias first landed on Terminus and they saw the what was it, the little orb, or they saw the artifact and they
yeah,
basically created their own culture based off of environment.
yeah,
and and one of the things that she noted, or one of the things that she stated, was eventually the mysterious becomes mundane when you're around it for so long. And
Right.
so where they're at now is, you have a certain set of kids who are basically trying to figure out this mystery of what this artifact is. And the longer that one stays and becomes familiar with something, the less novel it becomes. So I think that this is a theory. A part of their plan is, Seldon needs to be deified in order
hmm
for these next 1,000 years, for that 1,000-year impact to go on from left to right, in regards to rebuilding a particular society. Hence him going down to the little laundromat area and getting his clothes and interacting with interacting with those individuals. You
right,
notice like one of them's like, "Sir, can I shake your hand?"
yeah,
Like that. I think that's the that's the particular image that Sheldon had as a variable to add up as a part of his add up as a part of his plan for this next cohort of people to come around. Because even in his speech he was giving elements like, "I know you guys are just washing clothes, but that won't matter because you'll just be considered those chosen few that
hmm
that believed.
Mhm.
So if you want to believe, just remember that this is your moment, and nothing that you are doing isn't for naught."
unimportant. Yeah, everything's
Unimportant,
important. Yeah,
exactly. So
That's a good point to point out that he could. And in today's sense, I'm thinking about what you're saying and thinking, yeah, if Harry Seldon stayed around the encyclopedias the whole time, divorced from the book, if he just stayed around them the whole time, eventually they'd find a reason to hate him.
hmm
Eventually they would. Because like you're saying, the common becomes mundane. The mystical becomes mundane after a while.
yeah,
He would just be mundane. And if they started questioning and stuff like that, he would be right there as a reminder, like, well, you were just wrong.
Yeah.
We here. Think about all the bitching he'd have to go through. We're here. We don't know what's going on, and you said something was going to happen. It's not happening yet. When are we getting there, Dad? You know,
what they say in the Dark Knight? Either you die a hero,
live to see yourself become a villain.
Yeah,
he had become fucking Obi-Wan on Terminus.
Yeah.
Living out in the mountains somewhere by himself, watching out for the Tusken Raiders. Yeah, so I can see what you're saying, West Coast. He could fall to that. So that does give me a bit of hope with what we saw with Raish and him. Could have been just straight up play acting. I was thinking that it should have been something more to it. I didn't like seeing it, but I'm thinking it should have been something more to it. And Gale, getting ejected from the ship.
Yeah,
and you doing that flash forward to Salvador and those people showing up. I think they're showing up because Gale showed them where to go. I think Gale is going to be with those.
Could be.
I haven't seen episode 4, so I don't know if they're going
to. It'll be in the box.
Okay. Well, you got to boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, to reveal itself.
Well, I haven't seen it yet, so.
Oh, you haven't seen it either?
I haven't yet.
I'm gonna watch it tonight. Is it out?
Yeah, it'll be in the box.
Say less.
I don't know what day
the show comes on.
I think it's Thursday or Friday. I can't remember which one.
Hey, sir.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. Something that I liked about this show is the music, and I realized why I liked it. The composer, Barry McGreedy, I love his compositions. He made the music for God of War, this last God of War game. And so the fact that they called him to, break this out, I'm like, yo, this is perfect.
Regardless of what we say about the story's not that bad. Story's actually, if you haven't read the book, then the story actually makes sense. Okay, but the thing is, they spent a lot of money on this thing, man. They did not spare any details.
They didn't cheap. On that. Speaking of money, let me give a shout out to IL for the Cash App. He said for the BGS tax.
Hey,
going around everybody.
Prime Radiant Fund.
The Prime Radiant. Let me give you that shout out.
Hell, as much sex as there is in this show, man, I'm surprised that Booty Bounce doesn't show up.
Bro, I thought it was Game of Thrones in space for a minute. I'm like, everybody having sex every couple of lines in this.
I gotta give Raish his props. He could do what Harry couldn't, immediately.
Well, they related, but it ain't blood relation.
Oh yeah. When she got off the space elevator, they talk about her contact. First thing she said, "Cute." I said, "Ah, shit." Here we go. Yeah. But the thing is, what I had to get used to it. The thing is that her first image of us is she's a little girl. She's a wonderkin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden she's having sex with this tall dude. I said, I don't know how to feel about that because she's got a little girl's body.
Yeah. Yeah, she got a chick body. That's the thing that kind of bothers me about some of this feminism stuff. Like they'll put the women out there, but you notice all the women usually are not well endowed in the chest, and they really look like young kids, and that bothers me a lot because, in a sense, it's actually pushing the idea that young kids should be some kind of sexual object for you or attractive to you in some sense.
Yeah,
like I like women, I like feminine women, but I don't like my women just flat chested because that makes me think this is a little kid, this little girl. I don't like little girls like that.
Yeah.
Okay, my daughter was cute, but that's it. It wasn't nothing sexual about it. So, like you're saying, seeing this little flat-chested girl all of a sudden having sex with this overly 2 times her size dude is like, what are we? What? Okay, David. Told you, like,
you got some
tendencies.
They got a lot of hats. They got a lot of boxes to check. Artisan, BGS, we both noticed. In 2021,
they do.
We're here. Like,
you need to get a roll call. So
they could, because when they like Salvador, she could always almost make her like gender fluid, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the Grace Jones haircut and shit like that.
Mhm.
I said, is she gonna be, she gonna be a lesbian or what's she gonna be?
I
And
thought she
then
was gonna be a lesbian.
yeah, and then
Pansexual. You gotta get that
and then she had,
pansexual.
yeah, and then she's got a boyfriend that's a spacer, so
Yeah,
a white boy
white boy.
spacer.
Check
Got
this
the
out.
swirl.
They hit swirl, they hit gender fluid, they hit person of color. I'm saying it was almost genius because you get her with a masculine type of look, but you get
Mhm.
you have that, but the partner dynamic as far as
Yeah.
relationship, no one is the particular lead. Then you have man, it's almost brilliant. It's like you just break it down from social economic status as far as lead, who's doing what, gender, race, ethnicity. Yeah, they did, in my opinion, a good job of trying to adapt this for the society that they want to bring forth. The same thing
Mhm.
you and BJ's called out as far as Gail. She's small, feminine features, but isn't fully feminine in regards to
Right.
the
Yeah.
traditional look,
Right.
but enough where it's passable. And then you have the POC
Yeah.
dynamic where it's like two people of color getting together, where
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
Hawaiian all the way to African can kind of identify with this, this couple because they have some color to them. And then the male supportive role versus a woman centric lead in regards to handling things. You're hitting it
Mhm.
on that. You're hitting it on that vein. I mean, yeah, it's not something that I just took it for what it was. I'll say that. I took it for what it was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
expecting it.
Shout out to Aquateki for the cash app. Appreciate you, Aquateki. Let me give you that 3B salute. All right. I don't think West Coast ever saw that.
It was it definitely left an impression.
That is my goal, sir. Post-structural mating. Yeah, it's interesting. No one. I don't know. I didn't. Gail kind of works as a female, but I
Yeah.
think that's not on the strength of them doing the show. I think that's on the strength of the original work of the character. The character could be, for all the character went through, it could be gender swapped, and you could not possibly care. Salvador was kind of stark to me because it's like he gets into some stuff with this trading thing, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
could be very male centric, and they swapped the character. But on top of swapping the character, you gave her a white trader boyfriend. Well, she's, as far as I remember, she's supposed to be the traitor,
Yeah.
unless
She's
it's just
yeah.
the first warden or the first mayor.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I'm gonna have to go back and refresh myself to see how much you actually just altered this. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not complaining because the story is it's actually getting to me. I'm actually interested in it. I'm
Yeah.
actually fine with the performances that I'm seeing. Nobody seems like they just blurting out some clunky lines or anything like that. It's actually interesting.
Yeah.
But matching it up to the source material is what I'm gonna have to just push to the side. Just let me
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I
focus on
realize
this
that.
right here and forget all that till it's over with, and
Yeah.
then go back and
Because the foundation is actually very masculine, even though there's female elements.
Mhm.
But they just they made it a female story basically.
Yeah, they did.
It's,
That was one of my notes on it. That
mhm.
watching 3 episodes, seeing how many characters were actually gender swapped, where the camera is focused most of the time, who's leading things. It's just a female story now. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
You're
so
down.
none of these guys get to be guys anymore. They all get to have to be women now. Okay,
You're down to the sexual elements and all that kind of stuff. It's all
yeah,
it's female centered.
right.
In fact, that like the like Gail being the first person up before you even get to Trantor.
No
It's
shit.
the first 2 episodes actually told through her eyes.
Yeah, it's all her narrative. So it's
Hmm.
like, okay, that was a good scene with Gail coming to Trantor and how the character just got thrown into this whole situation. But because she's a girl, you leave out the situation, I believe, where they're on Trantor and they get into a scuffle. I think it's him and Harry get into a scuffle.
No, that's
later. Right?
That's prelude.
Yeah, prelude to the Foundation.
See, this is all right. Let me get all right. I think that we've given enough deference as far as the positive. Let's get into the geek speak. Look,
Okay.
Here's what I'm saying. Look,
geek speak.
Let me get into my mode. Look, how they should have did it, because I although I acknowledge you wanted to tell the story like, oh, Rage, let me link up with you and have this, try to build this romantic chemistry.
Right.
I'm gonna hold back on that escalation of what that chemistry looks like. It would have been better if they stuck to the source material where the guy at the end actually hems up Gail as soon as she walks through the gate, instead of like this waiting period where they have this expository moment, so that it could have built more tension. Because I felt I felt like they did it right in regards to sticking to the source, having Gail be befriended by this individual. They're both heading to the same spot. Her openly speaking about Harry Seldon, not knowing that that's a taboo. And then as soon as they walking out, it's like, oh yeah, you about to visit Harry when? Security.
Funny thing about that.
Like, I wanted to see that in real time, where it's the shock on her face, like, oh, what's going on? Instead of it being telegraphed, where Rachel's like, oh yeah, so here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get arrested at this time. Like, I thought that they took some of the weight out of that scene, because it's like, oh, now she's going into the room and she's just waiting for her to get picked up, instead of like, oh, this, like, her being this gullible person in a gullible country bumpkin for all intents and purposes, going into the city and then not knowing what they're getting themselves into, and then like her speaking freely with the lawyer in that lawyer room. I feel like there wasn't as much impact with them going in that restaurant.
So in other words, if you're gonna throw her in, huh?
Exactly. It's like, oh, it looks so beautiful. It looks so, like, all of they made it a follow-up scene where it's like, oh, I saw that you were awake during our jump travel. I saw that you were doing all that. It would have been better if this was all in the moment, at least from a first-person point of view. Like, if I was to just take it as is, if I'm just like, oh yeah, like, I'm seeing the beats, the elements of going into a jump ship, seeing what the universe is looking like, going down, this exciting story of this new beginning. And then out of nowhere, the person that you thought was your friend actually was a spy, and now you sitting in his room.
Good question.
Hit her with the help, because I thought that from the trial to how they apprehend individuals, I thought that they did that very well, and I thought that it would have been more. It would have given more of an impact if she would have got hit with that helmet thing from the beginning. It's like, oh yeah, you going to visit Penn? Security, get her.
Are you lead her down? Or you lead her down the path, like she everything's good, and she goes to a room, and all of a sudden, the next day she wakes up, and then the guards come and take her away, and trying to figure out what's going on, and then the guy that you made friends with is sitting in the interview room. Okay.
Yep, okay. That's her.
and then you start bringing people up to speed, and then throw them in the cell with Harry and Ray. Okay, explain it. Yeah, we knew you were gonna get arrested. How come you didn't tell me? We couldn't.
Yeah, that was, as I remember from the book, Harry was the one who broke that shit down to her, and he broke it down to her in the damn cell or something like that. Like, you can get taken. You will be taken. Sitting there like what's his name? Telling her that shit, like, it's gonna happen. This is gonna happen.
Liam Neeson.
Like Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Shout out what you see. We will be leaving Trantor soon. Don't worry about it. Which is kind of fucked up if you think about it, because at that point, Harry Seldon came to Trantor for a meeting. He had been stuck there since that time. When he finally get to leave, is when they're exiling his. Like, really? Now I get to leave? I've been trying to leave forever. want no parts of this place. That was
All
good.
right, look, I just wanted to share a math theory, and
Yeah,
Yeah,
I came here to give a speech, and I'm
yeah,
stuck.
trying to do his own little Trantor talk. And like, look, I'm out. I'm done, right? I did my 15 minutes. Let me go.
look, I
Nah,
just
dude, we need you to stay.
Mhm.
Cleon, I
no,
want to talk to you.
You can't
I got a
leave.
couple questions.
Yeah, you're not gonna be going back to Helicon. I'm sorry. No, that's a memory for you now. Shit.
Seriously.
But I will say this. We said it earlier. I am liking the Cleons, how they are, but I'm really liking Lee Pace's performance as Cleon. As
Okay.
being brother, what is it?
That's
Morning or whatever the fuck it is.
Uh-huh.
The middle one.
Oh,
the
Dave.
middle one. Oh yeah, Brother Day.
Ooh, he playing that shit good. If y'all don't know who Lee Pace is, Lee
Mhm.
Pace is your Ronan the Accuser in Marvel movies. He's
Okay.
Prince. What's his name in the last, not the very last one, but Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
He's
Okay.
been in a lot of stuff. He always is usually in makeup. I think he was the Night King for some stuff.
Oh,
This is like one of the first few
Game
times
of
you've
Thrones?
seen him without makeup, just acting. The dude is acting because
Yeah.
his version of Cleon is like, this motherfucker's scary, dude. Like he is no chill. What did they do to this little incubated boy?
You can tell there's a lot of cats that did some Shakespeare.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
British actors in this, which I
Yeah.
don't mind because I do like my British actors. So I recognize some of these faces and some of these voices because you watch British TV, you'll see these people sprinkled all over the place in all kind of shows. They don't
Yeah.
give a fuck. They'll act in anything, right? So seeing these dudes is fun, but seeing who he is, I said, oh, that's Lee. Oh, that's what he looked like. Okay, cool. Okay, but he's still kind of scary because
That is an understatement, especially what they do with the those two tribes.
Yeah.
yeah. Look, you gonna tell me who did it, or I'll tell you
Somebody, he said
Yeah,
somebody.
Oh yeah. What he did to them was cold, man. That was cold. That was worth. Why did you just kill me?
Yeah, that was gangster.
It was gangster.
That
was
was
gangster.
because everybody got it. That's like getting switched in the house with my grandmama. Like, get the switch.
Yeah.
Tell me the truth, or everybody get it.
Yeah.
Everybody got it.
Oh, that was cold the
not
way they
playing.
did that. They gave that punishment. Okay, after we blow up your world, we're gonna send you back.
Yeah. Look, that
Tell
part
them you
when he was
failed.
attacking their world and letting them watch it.
Yeah.
That was some Jason Solo shit.
Yeah.
From Star Wars. That's what he did. He did that shit. Now, there's a couple of elements in here I saw from other sci-fi genres, but that was some Jason Solo shit. That's what Jason Solo did to Kashyyyk when they wouldn't turn over the people he was looking for. He told the Wookiees to hand them over, and he's up in space, and they're like, we don't have them. We don't know. He's like, okay, firebomb. Let's get it. Bombard it from space. A whole planet that's trees. He set that shit on fire. From the oldest trees down, the whole planet. And people were just sitting there watching, like, he crazy as fuck. He's like, they didn't give him up. I mean, what?
Yeah.
I gave him time.
Yeah.
That was some of that Jason Solo shit. So, Darth Vader. Cleon do it. I was like, ooh.
Killing you is too nice.
Killing you is too nice. He's gonna send you back to your burnt up ass planet.
Because they were worried about their life until they saw this. They said, why didn't you just kill us?
Calculated. For me, he was calculated and ruthless. So
he was ruthless. He was ruthless.
It wasn't the word.
Yeah, that whole part with them being clones of themselves, that's something else that they took. I think it's a nice addition to this series, but they took that from that Aeon Flux movie. You realize?
Oh, really?
That's how they kept passing the leadership to each one. They would clone themselves and then teach their clones how to be them until they died off, and then the clone took over. So that's why it looked like the Emperor Chancellor or whatever lived forever. He didn't live forever. He was just constantly cloning himself and teaching his child, or teaching the child of himself that. They just stretched it out with 3 people in this one. It's like, oh, that actually makes it kind of cooler. That's a different way to get the same reason why people are named Cleon the first, second, third, because it's a version marker. Upgrade. Upgrade.
And each has their own individual expression. So one is like the artist, one is the dictator, one is so it fits in regards to just the human experience. We're not static, or we're not stagnant. So depending on the period that you get, depends on the temperament that each particular society will face.
Nurture and nature together.
Yeah, they're still individuals to some extent, even though they may look like the last person that they're looking at in front of them or behind them.
Yeah, because actually see the three of them, even though they're identical, the different personalities between the three of them.
Exactly.
Some of the same
Value
tips.
systems are different.
Yep. Different
Where
personalities.
I like the interaction between, I think that it was Day and Dusk. They were discussing their outlook on how to handle the situation, and then deferring to Dawn in regards to it being the final nail in the coffin.
Right.
Where Dusk was saying like, "Look, I know that you want to, go out for bloodshed, but peace may be the better option." And then Dawn saying, "Well, I'm just scared and overwhelmed. Like, we have all of these people that are like, it was a substantial amount of people that post that explosion that were floating around, that were flying into the atmosphere." And Dawn was like, "Yeah, I'm just afraid." And then Day was like, "Exactly.
Exactly.
Afraid, you need to." He's like, "If you're afraid, you need to show a face of strength." And so you understand that although he is ruthless, you understand that the elements in which he's making this decision is based off of social capital and politics. That you have millions of people that have died, and not only are dying, but they're just floating around and they're falling into the atmosphere. And so how do you maintain that social presence? Where Dusk is saying you need to be more peaceful and just need to prioritize pulling people from the sky. Dawn is just focused on, or Dawn's impression of it was him being just the trauma of just seeing that and then letting things kind of float around. So how do you find that balance between the two? And two people that are innocent, or presumably innocent, that are sitting in your throne house. So
Right. Yeah, that was a good scene. That was actually a really good scene. That's one of the takeaways that I'm liking. That's a change to the original story that I'm liking, is seeing that interplay between the different Cleons. That actually works for me. It's a real interesting addition. I know it wasn't originally in the book. I know where they pulled it from, but it is a good addition to the series because
they you can tell they made a decision early on to actually rewrite the whole series.
Yeah, I mean, I would think the reasoning behind them choosing to rewrite the whole series is to, I wouldn't say to trim the fat. I don't think there's much fat in Isaac Asimov's book because it moves along pretty well. I'm thinking it's more so that these motherfuckers didn't read the whole books. They just went through and cherry picked scenes and stuff like that and then filled in some of the stuff in between them. Because I do like the story picking up with them on the way to Terminus. Like I was saying, I do like that part where it doesn't bog you down with starting from the beginning of the story.
Right.
But at the same time, all right, have a good one. It does lead credence to, okay, where the hell are you going? And which book exactly are you trying to pull from? Because I'm seeing elements of a couple of different books in this. It's not just one book. So I understand you have to do that for a series outside of just, we're going to do a page by page, recap of the book.
Yeah.
I get that. But I need to understand the thinking behind this. Like watching the Lord of the Rings movie. Yeah, they pulled from all over to make one movie. It's not exactly literary canon or sequencing, but they're making their story out of it. So, okay.
But it's a writer's playground, though, because Asimov wrote it from a sociological perspective and skipped the action parts or the in-betweens.
Right.
They can fill in those gaps, which is what I can appreciate. This is like the other side to what would happen when the traders or the encyclopedists go into their particular crisis. What is it like for them on a day-to-day, or what that scene between, like, I like the theatrical visual display of not the genocide, but just the scene of Cleon, setting off each planet. And then the people hanging, and then you see the people in the rafters that are cheering for this violence. Or when Selden was on trial, I think that was a beautifully depicted scene where Selden is giving his spiel to the council and the people around him about psychohistory, and the interaction between the Days and Selden as well as Gale and what that looked like. I think that it's a positive that they grabbed actors and actresses who are thespians and who are
Mm,
able to articulate that, because I think that
mm-hmm.
that is something that Asimov leaned on. He leaned on accuracy of words
Science. Yeah.
and discussion. So I think that they're doing a good job of balancing the two, where people need to see action, and because Asimov wasn't really about that action, um, he they're able to blend both the key elements of the story of what he was trying to convey in regards to evolution of societies, because I think that they still lean on that while still being able to sneak in different action and plot points for those who are looking for the visual aesthetics.
Yeah, I think the way Asimov wrote the books makes more sense when you read it. Okay, but as far as a movie, it was going to be difficult to actually make it, uh, visually appealing, because there's um, if you're going to have a science fiction story, you need action, and Asimov didn't really pin his whole books on action. Action,
No.
like you said, action happened in the background. But the thing is, movies need that, like the
Yep.
bombardment of the two worlds. Okay, you need
Mhm.
stuff like that. Them hanging, actually executing the people.
Yeah, and you know what? To be fair, I think that it illustrates.
Mm,
If I was to argue with Asimov, if he was in the room and looking at this, his whole philosophy is violence is a last refuge of the ignorant, right?
hmm
There's still people who aren't in that mental space that you're at. So to demonstrate or illustrate what violence looks like, and then seeing what the aftermath is,
hmm
will be able to leave the impression that you're trying to get at, because sometimes people don't understand, just as we all know, words only mean so much until it's experiential. Like, you can predict and say like, hey, this is going to happen,
Yeah,
but a lot of people have to learn the hard way, where you know like, once it's in your face, it's too late. And so you'll end up letting this being a tale or an object lesson for people who don't really understand why violence in its immediate form may be a quick solution, but
yeah,
it's not a long-term fix.
No.
Seeing how things play out. And so I think that this is like a counterpart. I'm not expecting them to go that route, and I think that that would be a unique area that this provides value for those who want to expand their mind or really chew on the core philosophy that Asimov is
yeah,
trying to get at.
yeah. I
Where,
mean, what he's trying to do is show you structure and how power actually works. You
Mhm.
know, a lot of people see the result of order from power, right? But this gives you the behind the scenes of how power works, even what to do with the rebellious fringe, and then when they destroy the space elevator, right? How do you handle it? Do you go?
exactly.
Do you kill a whole bunch of people? Do you make an example out of the diplomats? What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What that response looks like, and what
right,
goes into formulating the response,
right.
something like that, and the people who have to put forward that response, what they're
Mhm.
thinking about and why they have to do it. It would give
Right.
you a reason why some people would not like that Cleon. I forget what number he is. Why they
Mhm.
would not like him, but you understand it from his side. What is he supposed to do? You see how
Right.
many people died. I mean, that scene was beautifully depicted to show. Yeah, it
Mhm.
sounded like a cool fucking thing. Yeah, let's blow up the space elevator.
Yeah.
See how that shit happened? That shit wrapping
Yeah.
around the planet, dude.
Yeah.
That's not a fun day on on Trantor. Okay,
Trantor. Yeah.
Right.
that's
Yeah.
that's actually a lot of life lost for an idea that you're just
Mhm.
trying to espouse at that time. Like,
Yeah.
what are you really upset about? Was it
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
all of these people?
Yeah. And they
Yeah.
responded like it's almost like the same thing with the I think they pulled it from like the Twin Towers, and what the
Hmm.
response should be.
Yeah. It's like,
Right.
because in a sense, to me, it's a scar.
Yeah.
Because understanding how Trantor was put together, like they were saying, it tore through like 7 levels. You're
Yeah.
not seeing the surface of this
Yeah.
planet. It's just like Coruscant in a sense. You're not seeing the surface. All
Right.
these nice, pretty buildings and stuff you see, that's way up in the atmosphere. Okay,
Right.
I'm not seeing the surface. This thing tore up a bunch of stuff, and if you just want to be, very manual labor about the shit. That's a lot of repair work. Some carpenter.
A lot of
I knew you would see
We love
that.
the work. We
Yeah,
love the
there you
work.
go.
That's a lot of goddamn work. That's a lot of money and resources that's gonna be pulled from these other colonies and stuff like that to
Yeah.
fix that shit y'all just
Yeah.
made. Like,
Mhm.
dude, it's a larger impact. It's not just a cool thing to see. It's actually, if you think about it in the sense that it actually costs human lives, it's actually going to cost actual resources and stuff like that. Then you start seeing, look, yeah, they want to find out who did this because this is going to cost everybody. They need to know who the hell did it. You don't get to
Mhm.
hide from that. No, and we're gonna get answers. However, we get some goddamn answers.
The importance of
getting an answer.
the importance of
Yeah.
interdependence and codependence.
Mhm.
Even if we look at it because obviously the book is based off of real life, the reflection of real life is how do countries coincide with each other when everybody has something that can blow somebody else up, but knowing that the ripple effect of doing so
Mhm.
may outweigh the benefit.
Yeah.
Hence, there was two scenes that stuck out to me. It was the discussion between dawn, dusk, and day when they just sent the cohort of Seldonites or Encyclopedias to Terminus,
Uh-huh.
and the thought came up was like, well, why not just blame it on Harry Seldon and say that this was this eccentric. It's like, well, it's too early as far as sending him out because you have the issue of martyrdom. So, if you kill him, that's going to cause a social stir. Like, think
Yeah.
the idea of social capital and people interacting with each other, their network, that's palatable. Like
Yeah.
that reputation. So you don't
Because
you wanna-
if you do it, you're gonna have to have an internal purge, not an external purge.
exactly. Versus when Brother Dusk talked to the two leads of each planet, like when he was giving them their drinks, he's like, look, I know y'all. I was like, I know that y'all didn't do this, but y'all not gonna leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you still ain't
And,
gonna.
and I feel bad for you. Like both of y'all are gonna die, but it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And
It
then
wa-
Day and Dawn is like, has he lost his mind? Like he's like they giving him the whole play.
Yeah, he telling them the whole play. Look, you
But
already know it. Shout out to Two Trill for the Cash App. Appreciate you, Two Trill, and I will give you the 3B salute. That was his message for the 3B salute. So you will get what you paid for, sir. Get what you paid for. Salute to you, sir. So I guess the question here would be, what do you think about the vault? This is one of the things that's sticking with me. What do you? Because in a sense, in the show, is played like it's just some alien device sitting there.
you know where they got it from. 2001 Space Odyssey with the obelisk, right?
Right. Right. So I know where that part is coming from. That's why
Mhm.
it's an interesting visual to see that thing sitting there. If you've seen 2001, the
Right.
negative space between the two halves of these things look like the
Yeah.
fucking obelisk. So they just drew around the outsides. It's a visual thing for me. So it's like, okay, it's an obelisk. But I'm knowing on Terminus there is supposed to be a vault
Yeah,
where Harry
it is.
Seldon comes forth and gives his
Yeah.
messages. Now,
Yeah,
that's
but
just meta. If you read the books, if you didn't, you don't know what the hell this thing is. So I'm thinking, how are they working this together that this thing is here before they get there?
yeah, that's the problem that I had. How is it already there before you even get there?
Right,
Now, they were supposed to be the one that actually brings the vault to Terminus.
right,
It's not supposed to be waiting for them.
right. So kind of trying to figure out where they're going with this, because mind you, seen 3 episodes. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they explained it in the next episode. Maybe VGS knows.
I don't know yet.
But it's expanding, and certain people are immune to its effects. That would lead me to believe that these are some of the people. If you read the books,
Yeah.
there are some people that are psychic, telepathic.
Yeah.
This would
Yeah.
be second foundationers, right? So my thinking is, okay, so are these people latent telepaths or whatever? How does this end up working with the mule? Because You know the
Mhm.
mule is gonna show up, and apparently
I mean, they
Jim
mentioned it in the first episode too.
Did they?
That
Oh, did
Missed
they?
it?
Oh yeah,
well,
they talked about it. Yeah, they
They
talked
just
about
mentioned
it.
the
I heard
name.
mention of the mule. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's giving away a lot
I
already.
said, how did how did I can understand. I can understand Demerzel knowing about it because you got to remember the mule was way late in, in
Way later.
the
Mhm.
fight. It really during the second foundation. So we're talking
Mhm.
about hundreds of years later,
Right.
and we hear who is it? Doll talking,
Yeah, it was Gil. It was Gil.
Gail talking. Yeah.
She's the
Yep.
narrator. She's narrating all of this as if she.
Well,
That's another loophole.
with that part that could be. Well, that probably they probably that's the device why the she got shot out into space.
Mm-hmm.
So and I said, how is Gil still alive? So that's probably why, and she's human, unless because we know Gil's not a robot.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the
So,
part
but
that doesn't add up. It's
So
like,
so
is she
so
with
so
Demerzel or
so eventually, what's probably going to happen is basically going to recover her body.
yeah, they're gonna have to recover her
centuries later.
body, but that's the other person I think that she's probably getting swapped with. BGS is the girl from the Second Foundation story
Okay.
who was
Okay.
looking for the foundation, and the
Yeah.
Oh
chick
yeah.
who helped her
Yeah.
end up
Mhm.
meeting Second Foundationers,
Yeah.
the first chairman, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
it's that girl. I just couldn't remember her name. I want to say it wasn't
Yeah, I
so.
didn't like her. I remember her because,
Yeah.
well, from an image standpoint, that's who I thought it was when she was getting off of that planet.
That's
It's
what I
like, this
thought.
your, the mother father figure, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're again, it's a Jamba Juice. It's a Jamba Juice blend.
Yeah. They
It's a
giving
fruit
people
smoothie.
names, gender swapping, giving people names and stuff like that. Put them and blending characters and stuff like that. So it's like, okay. But the thing is, if you read the book, then it can get confusing. But if you just looking at it fresh, it still makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know how many episodes this series is supposed to be.
I don't know.
I mean, the way they sprung for the special effects, it might only be 10. I don't know.
They
But
they
I
spend
will
they,
say,
they
I
spend some
do
money.
love the depiction of gravitational travel. That should look awesome.
Yes,
Well, hell, Apple has $1 trillion, man. They don't care.
Yeah,
they
they got
got
to blow.
yeah.
You can blow it on the 13
Little
money.
pet project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're blowing that iPhone 13 money. That's
What the hell?
fuck it.
Oh, what was the name of that? The device. I forgot the actual term, but the one that Brother Day used on the painter. The one that it's
He
it's
shot
the
his
gun.
ass. That's what he
It's like
used.
a
Yeah.
chopper.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was a weird name that Asimov named it, but to
Yeah,
see that
for
in
a
real
gun.
time, it's like there is no slow death. You just
Yeah.
evaporate.
You evaporate. Yeah.
Yeah,
To see that in real time, I was like, yo, that's
Yeah.
it's about time.
Yeah,
Just to see what that looks like.
That's worse than a Romulan disruptor.
no, it is worse than a disruptor, like a Romulan one, because that was messed up. It was like he has to do all that shit. Like, yeah, you think Red will come off of here? What? I'm like,
What do
no,
you
he
think
would
about
kill this
Crimson?
dude. That's what I'm saying.
Yo,
What I'm saying. This
Oh
he's
yeah.
done.
Leon is a problem, dude. He gonna have to get old quick.
You've been reading Harry Seldon.
Oh my,
But-
yeah, you
but-
can read.
Like, no,
You
but
know
he's a
about
crazy
that?
man. He's a crazy man. I'm with the Empire. He's like, I know you won't betray the Empire, so I'm gonna give you a chance.
No, I'll give you a chance. You can't repay the Empire because you're dead, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Wrong.
This is
You
what
are
I'm saying.
part
I'm
of the
liking Lee
hero.
Pace's performance because that Cleon is
Oh, he ain't no
ill,
joke.
dude. He is a
Yeah.
problem. Like,
Yeah, he's a problem.
look,
Yeah.
y'all need to get he might kill the rest of you clones. I don't know how
One
You
of
know,
them.
I had that look, but
He had that look like, you know what? I think I
Yeah.
just want to be here
I was just drop this baby right here.
yeah, push him out
There
the
is
window.
no dawn. It's only day.
Yeah,
Nah.
he ill, dude. But that's kind of cool. Look, there's some characters that I'm missing. I hope they obviously not doing the first book. They're not
Hopefully they
doing
do
the
a
first Foundation
flashback.
book where you'll get to see all those other
Cities.
places on Trantor that Harry went to develop psychohistory. It's
Oh,
like
you're talking about a prelude?
yeah,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
seems like they're cutting those parts
Well,
out. right?
Yeah, because you see him as an old man, you know,
Yeah, you see him
which is
very
the
old.
original way you saw him in the first book was Foundation, right? He
Right,
was already an old man, and they were getting ready to eject these people back to Terminus. That's where it really starts.
right. So
And
you
so
do
they,
get to see that he planned
yeah,
some of this shit ahead of time. He's telling
yeah,
me like, yeah, I knew they
yeah,
were gonna exile me. That was probably the spot. I was like,
yeah,
okay, you're getting to see that Harry thinking a
yeah.
couple of steps ahead. It's that three-dimensional chess you playing.
So
Yeah,
I think they took a piece from like Ford the Foundation and it kind of added to the original Foundation book. So you get
mhm,
kind of like a preview of what happened and why they got ejected. So it kind of explained it a little bit.
right,
Yeah,
right.
I think that a sample of that would be Harry going down into the laundry room. Like
Hmm.
that was my first thought was like, all right, this is the equivalent of him traveling to a different area. And I think that it gives hints. It's not a direct one to one, but it's a post him being able to interact with the quote unquote lower or working class,
Oh yeah.
and
Right.
being able to match their speech or explain things in a way that resonates with them,
So
while
how
at the
to
same
handle
time
the
going all the
people.
way up to the politics of figuring out, okay, what math should we save? Should we save in groups of 10, save in groups
Hmm.
of 12, or
Hmm.
so on and so forth?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I'm upset because Prelude had the best, even though it was post. I like that in this foundation. This is the equivalent of what the foundation was when it first was originally released. Hence, it's like him post as an old man. But
Mhm.
Hmm.
the prelude and Ford are probably my favorite in regards to just
Yeah.
story wise and seeing Selden.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, bro, especially in this era, if it's mainly about sex, it could have been Prelude. Him indoors, you know what I'm saying? Where everybody, like the working class, where all the females' titties was out, like that would have been. And
There's
then
your
you get to
there's your
see,
female forward movie
I
about a
know,
bare
right?
chest. Burn their bras. And they just out
Burn
there.
they bras. They don't, as far as the idea or concept of
Hmm.
genders needing to wear bras. It's just your chest is out, you're working on the heat sinks. Like literally the heat sinks is so hot that you don't have time to worry about wearing a bra or not, man or female or whatever.
Clothes and shit. Yeah,
And
you like, look.
and so, and even seeing Billo Button, like I wanted to see Doors and them head down to the hood, see the
Right.
blades being sliced up, being
Hmm.
created. Wanted to
Right.
see Sheldon kick some folks in the chest.
Right.
Um,
Look, I want to see
yeah,
Sheldon, twist somebody up. Look,
twist. I wanted some twist
I wanted
action.
him, I wanted some twisted. Like, dude,
You know,
Maybe we'll get some throwbacks.
I don't know.
hopefully,
Hopefully, because I want to see somebody get their thumbs broke up.
no, for real.
I really do want to see that. I want to see somebody get twisted.
Sheldon was gangster in his day. Him and Doris was gangster in their day,
Yeah,
man. It
he's
was.
a gangster
Mm.
professor, dude. Like, don't take all that math for for cheap. Yeah, he's smart. Beat
He
your ass.
walk into the bread shop with Billo Button like. Like violence.
I've come to do math and kick ass. And I left my prime radiance.
Like, bro, there are so many
Yes.
elements. Like Doors, like that is a strong female lead. Like when she
Strong
had to go down
female
to
lead.
Billo Button and she
Yeah.
was like, listen, give me the Billo Button blade. Like, forget all these other, like when she went to go visit the blade, man, I'm like,
Yeah,
man,
but what she say, West Coast? She didn't want one. She wanted
I
You
need
two.
want two.
two.
It's a big
I need
man
both.
carrier. Big man carrier too. Oh, that's kind of different. Yeah, give me two. What? She want two of them?
Yeah,
That's what
I
chick
hold
got to
myself
do.
down.
Yeah, hold my stuff down. Keep my blade tucked. Two of them.
Yeah,
Hold my
we missed.
beer.
I know, right? Missed out on Wave Cap City. I gotta see Wave Cap City, bro.
See, that's skin cap city.
Skin
That's what
Cap
I was
City,
looking for. Need the
where you
chicks
lift
getting
up
off
the
on hair.
skin, it's like, oh, look at the bro. That's like an automatic wave check, bro. That's a wave check. The equivalent of that, somebody having a do rag, they pulling. I haven't seen hair like that in years. It was like, yeah, that's Murray's, baby. That's Murray's.
Murray.
That's sporting waves.
Waves. Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing some of that, and I haven't seen it yet from where they started. But it's like, okay, we can just move forward. Maybe, like BG used to say, maybe we'll get back to it. Maybe we won't. Okay.
Yeah.
But that was a couple of things that I wanted to see. I did want to see belly button. I did. I did want to see
Yes.
belly bottom. I did, because to get an understanding of how even on this technologically advanced ass city, where you can see Harry's point is like, yeah, this thing is breaking down. You realize that, right? Like, no, it isn't. You got all this stuff. Okay. Well,
You
look
see
at some
them
of these other
lights.
cities. Yeah.
You see them lights that are out.
Yeah.
Like that is
See
that
light
is slow
flickering?
erosion of society. I think that that's also something that I liked about the writing that I hope that they include or they incorporate is that at least from from an individual standpoint, when people being able to notice societal decay, it's not something that's immediate. It's something that's gradual and incremental. If they're able to include that as well, that would be perfect. Just to give an illustration, I think that the foundation in itself, the story, is appropriate for this time in regards to lining up what you want people to prepare themselves for, like this idea of a great society going into decay. How do you cope with that? How do you figure things out? And most importantly, what are you going to do to preserve it? Because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, all of this technology goes to nothing if the
Yeah.
next generation or if the people moving forward aren't able to use it, and they'll end up
Yeah.
going back to square
Can't
one.
create it,
Yeah.
can't use it, can't
Yeah.
repair it.
Yeah. That's what
Can't do
only
nothing with
happens.
it until it's broken. Yeah.
Which is what you actually see some of that with Why the Last Man, right? When all the guys are gone, you got all this tech that's still there, but you can't use it because people can't keep it running.
hmm
Mhm.
And that it's just knowledge inherently. Because something else that I was thinking about is the fact that at least in America, we only use the metric system, and most people use
Colonial system. Most countries use the metric system. We only use colonial.
Yeah.
colonial. There you go. I gotta
Yeah.
switch up.
Imperial. Yeah. Imperial.
Yeah,
Imperial. There you go. Imperial. Gotta switch up. So yeah, most people use imperial, but like when I go to lift weights, like everything is in metric. So like
Really?
kilos.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
kilograms.
at the gym, at the gym that I'm at. So we always have to do a conversion.
Yeah.
Yeah, do a calculus to it. But
Do
I'm
that in
tying that to
construction.
the
Everything is metric. We have to convert it to standard.
hey, shout out to the power of the empire. So you have like just trying to draw parallels. Like you have enough strength where you can have your own math system that or your own measuring system that although it is in the minority, it still sets precedence in regards to language. Whose language is going to be the most used or the most dominated, like, and
Sure.
what is going to be the most functional as well. I'm trying to draw a parallel back to the foundation in the discussion that they had in that boardroom in regards to math, where they're arguing like, well, we need to keep the empire's math because that's the math that we all know. And then Gail coming in like, well, what about what about these planets metrics of math and the limitations of our math, because you only count by 10, you miss these prime numbers, you
Right.
miss this.
Right.
How do you know which math is going to be the most valuable for your next generation? And depending on what you teach them, it will either limit them or it will continue to it'll either help or they'll hurt them.
Yeah.
And so, having to contain knowledge and then finding out what is the most relevant, especially with all of these ideas competing, is something that, that's what Asimov kind of focus on, and that's what I like about this series
Yeah.
that they bring up.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you because all empires or civilization crumble at some point.
Right.
Okay. And you need to have to actually have building blocks for the next civilization. So that's what they're trying to figure out. What is the next civilization actually going to need? What's the most important pieces you can't take everything.
Preserve. Yeah, you can't take everything, but what do you preserve
Right.
that would actually be useful in the future time, as opposed to what you're just holding on to as what you think is valuable to you right now?
Off
Mm-hmm.
of tradition. Like one of them was like, yeah, we use water. Like, yeah, water is the most accurate, but you're assuming that, say, the next colony is in a desert where water is scarce, then their whole metric
Yeah.
system is going to be thrown off. Why
Right.
not use the sun? The sun is more constant. Like, for
Yeah.
example.
Which is old tech. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And
And even
the
your
new galactic standard.
or even your belief system, right? Even with the dynamic between Gail and the belief, quote unquote, psychohistory, and leaving her older religion, um, realizing that psychohistory in itself, math and science, although it does solve for certain things, it's still fallible. There's still going to be areas where it's not going to be able to cover.
Yeah.
And although your older tradition tried to stomp out, math and science as this threat, this existential threat, it was based off of tradition versus efficiency, in the sense that there's nothing inherently wrong with your belief system, but depending on your environment, it's going to dictate whether or not it will be able to work,
Yeah.
especially with what they're dealing with. Because if you're in a city full of technology, there's gonna the original blueprint that you had as a science, a more ancient science, isn't gonna be able to connect because there's more things that it isn't accounting for. But it doesn't mean that this new science or this new belief system is perfect. You know,
Just
hence
mean
Gail
it's
saying like,
true.
yeah, there's dark area. Like when Raish and Gail had that interaction, he's like, what do you mean that their psychohistory isn't
It's imperfect.
hundred
Yeah.
percent?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
Yeah.
isn't
not
perfect.
finished. It's not
Yeah.
finished. Yeah.
Like it's a puzzle, all right. And it's like, that makes
Yeah.
sense. You get certain pieces, then you build from it. But trying to put all your eggs in one basket as far as this being the absolute,
Yeah.
that's where you'll end up.
Yeah. Well, if you do math, at some point, the math is going to break down. How far can
Calculus.
you extend it? Yeah, calculus, anything.
Mhm.
That's what pissed me off when I learned calculus. I was like, what do you mean I have to learn imaginary numbers? Like I can make stuff up now instead of having these math facts?
Broke the rules.
No, dead serious. I was in class like, yeah, it's free. You can use your imagination. Like what? Like all these we call it forecasting.
Right.
Prediction models. And you get into the idea of percentages, but I say
Mhm.
it in tongue in cheek, but I think the core principle is that these are instruments that we use. These are human instruments that we use, but there's always going to be that area where, everything's going to end up falling short. So finding out what is the most efficient for you in that particular moment, or civilizations in that next moment, will be,
Mhm.
the key piece. And whether or not it is, functional will determine whether or not they'll end up being successful.
Right.
And
Agreed. Agreed on that. So I'm gonna get close to ending this right now because I think Artie Idmores is starting up at 2. I'm supposed to be
Mhm.
on his panel at 2. So I've been on here about 2 hours already before y'all
Yeah.
got not before you
Well,
got up here. But get some final thoughts and I'm gonna close this one out just so I can go get me some aspirin and get ready for this next thing.
yeah, I think at some point we probably have to do like you know, actually do a video and actually respond a response video to the actual
Episodes.
film
Yeah.
yeah,
episode. Yeah, and probably
Yeah,
makes more sense.
I almost emailed you about that last night, but it was a little too late. It was too much off the cuff. Not
Yeah.
enough time for you guys to prepare for it. So if that's something you guys want to do, just tell me now and I'll just
Yeah.
put it on the slate to make
Yeah.
sure I
Yeah. That's probably it
find
probably makes
time to
more
do it.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
mhm,
that's why I'm trying to figure out what day this show actually comes on. If it comes on a Friday or Sunday or
I think it's
whatever, just so I know when I'm watching.
I think it's like a Thursday or a Friday. Let me look at the calendar.
Either one will work. I just have to figure it out so I know. But so projections, thoughts, ideas. That's all.
Yeah, it's actually Fridays. It actually comes out on.
Oh, no, perfect.
Yeah. I'm
Perfect.
thinking. I want to know exactly how they've written themselves into like certain plot holes, right? I'm wondering how
How did you write yourself into that hole?
in other words, you do certain things that you don't answer questions. Like nobody, like why did Wraith actually kill Harry Seldon? Why did they eject Gale out into space? How you gonna rectify that? Because they just skip by it. Like, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
well, you kill Harry Seldon and you eject Gale out into space. What happened to her, right?
right.
What happened? Now you skip like 20 years into the future. Like, okay, but you don't explain anything.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the things bothering me. That's why I'm saying because she's still narrating all this stuff that she couldn't possibly have been there for.
Right.
I'm thinking that she just gets woken up. She gets found in space and woken up at a later point in time, and now she's going forward. Time displaced like Captain
You-
America.
do you think that she could be in the time capsule? and suspended animation. Well, that's like
That'd be
Wild
interesting.
Blue. It would be
That'd
interesting.
be interesting to see her pop out of that.
Yeah,
Because obviously Raish is long dead after this point. So
Yeah.
You think he's dead? What do you
Oh,
think? What do you think they did with Raish after that?
Because
it's like 40 years in the future now.
Yeah.
Because Brother Dawn is now, Brother Day, and Brother Day is now Brother Dusk. We're talking about 20, 30, maybe 40 years in the future now.
Yeah, well, what I'm wondering is what happened after Raish ejected Gil. Like
we don't know. We just see her floating in space, and we don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
when they land on Terminus,
he ain't
they ain't
there.
showing you Raish.
Yeah, Raish is
Right.
gone. Raish is gone. Yeah,
He gone. He long
Right.
gone. Maybe they ejected him after her, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He could have taken another pot. Well, I bring it up in the sense of not actually what happened, but what I'm anticipating is that is another area that's left in the dark. We know
Yeah,
that
that's what I'm
Sheldon
saying.
is dead, but
Yeah.
Raish just sent Gale off, but we don't have. There's still a plot point between what happened after that announcement and them landing. And
Yeah.
what Raish did in that moment, because I know
Yeah.
that if it was, it did. I would agree it did look more planned than off the cuff as far as
Yeah.
like a heat of moment.
When I first saw when I
there's
first saw it, I said
nothing
she could have just walked in on it. Well, when he says you can't be here, that means this is planned and you're throwing off the variables. So
Yeah, maybe he was supposed to stab him and make it look like somebody else did it, but she wasn't supposed to come in and find it.
Remember what he grabbed though on the back of his ear. There's something. I think that may be something that is an important. That must be something that's an important plot point in regards to him being missing, him dropping his billow button blade in a little spot.
Yeah,
incriminating evidence. Caught a whole case.
A lot of money. If you sell that replica of that shit, I will find it. I will buy it.
Yeah,
up to $150 for that motherfucker. I'm not saying you got to make it $150, but I'm just saying.
The Billy Button knife,
the Billy Button blade. Yeah. He didn't drop that on accident. He threw her in the pod. It's like, oh, just think about prime numbers. Slip the blade under.
Threw the murder weapon in there with her. Never find it.
Counting prime.
The blade. It is a cool blade, though. I have to give him credit.
I like blade.
Cool.
Look, I need my Chris knife. And I can have Billy Button blade sitting right next to each other on the shelf. I'm just saying. There's a new Doom movie coming out.
Yeah, and it makes sense now. It makes sense why all the guys from Billy Button wanted to keep their blades, because it really looks like a tech version of like a samurai sword or something. Like there was some design to it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Gil, and hopefully they wrap that piece up with Raish. And then seeing
in a satisfying way. Hopefully, don't you turn them into a black male killer. Let's make it something useful and not pointless.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why it looks like it was
already done. But please.
And then seeing what the one who transitioned from Dawn to Day, seeing what his rulership will look like, because we still haven't seen what his temperament is. I know he asks a lot of questions, like even after the hanging, about like, well, will it always be like this as far as the form of violence, and seeing how seeing how his kingship is. That's something else that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too, because he seems like he might be the one that's more level-headed. I mean, even more than Brother Dusk, who was real retrospective, about everything that was done. Brother Day at that time was a little wild, so him turning into Brother Dusk is a benefit. Like, I better hope he go quietly into that good night. I'm just
Brother Day was gangster, man.
He was gangster, boy. You see, that's what his bus gonna say. Gangster.
He was Michael Corleone.
Oh, was he? Oh my God, he didn't care. You lied to me.
No, don't sleep on. Wait a second. Don't sleep on Dust too, because he did pop up with the Sheldon trial. He was like, Brother Day, don't forget the stick.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, hold on. I thought you was a man of peace.
That's crazy. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I mean, I'm interested in the show, even even on its surface, not reading the books, it already looks interesting. And like I told you guys before, I don't have a problem with female protagonists. It's just how they're written. If they're written well, or if that's shoved in your face. As many gender swaps as they did in this, it's not pushed in your face in a sense that you're supposed to just, this is the message that we're pushing. It's just there. If you hadn't read the books and you just watching the show, it's just woman narrating the shit. So you would just see it from a woman's perspective. You wouldn't know any different and be none the wiser about, that was actually a guy character. You wouldn't know. I mean,
you wouldn't know.
A chick named Salvador should be a tip-off, but
Right.
Gail, Gall, it could be a girl's name, whatever the fuck. Fine. In the anime sense, okay. I've seen a Gail in Project Echo that was a guy, but okay, whatever. It works. It works for me. So I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far. Definite visual eye candy, story-wise. I'm interested to see what they do, and character-wise, I'm loving some of the performances on it. Like I'm saying, Lee Pace, he killing it. Boy. Killing it is Cleon, and Cleon is literally killing it. Killing the competition.
That execution scene was something, man.
Man, the execution is a motherfucker. But I did like that other, I think it was episode 3, where they actually went back and gave you the history of these things and made you understand that how this succession started. What it means to have legacy. Yeah. And to leave a lineage and one generation passing off to the next generation to keep things going forward. Right. Because it gives you the understanding of this is, in a sense, what Selden is trying to do with the foundation. And the Encyclopedia is going to determine this. He's trying to make sure he gives his handoff to the next generation. Right. So it's not just completely obliterated. But the larger bodies understanding what that is and accepting it and working with him is something completely different. Yeah. I will also say to these two gentlemen, the other scene I love seeing. What's that? The Library of Trantor. Love seeing that. That's a big thing, and they kind of burned the books in the library. I'm like, Ray Bradbury. They kind of fucked it up because if you know from reading it, the Library of Trantor stays. That's the only thing that don't get fucked up. Yeah. But they went in there and burnt up the library a little bit. It was like, why'd you do that? Nothing gets touched in the library. The library is supposed to stay. What's wrong with you?
That's the that is the part of the second foundation.
Yeah,
if you read the books, the hidden foundation.
Yeah, the hidden foundation. The library stays. The library don't get touched. They protect that. But it's important to Harry. It's important to Harry and his story. So, okay, I got to see the library,
but he did make a nod to that with Gail. He was like, "Yeah, just take this book, because this may not be here." Wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they'll do something with that. I think they'll do something with the library. I think that so far they're doing a good job of taking notes from the original book and making it their own. Now, what they do with it,
Well, you got to see the next episode to see when the vault opens and
that's
what about a white concussure? There's elements where he's supposed to be like a little bit, since he's a spacer, he's a little bit gangster. He's a trader, a little bit gangster. But the thing is that he comes home and starts cooking.
Yeah. In more ways than one.
Yeah. He starts cooking, and she says, "Are we gonna do this before dinner or after dinner? In other words, before you finish cooking or after, like the gender swap between husband and wife."
Yep.
Yeah.
And the thing what she says when she goes out, right, to actually patrol, she's only supposed to be there for like 29 hours. She said no more pants for 25 hours. In other words, stay naked and be ready when I get back. So that's more like it's more like a male move. So
that was one of the reasons I wanted Dr. T on this, and he couldn't make it. But he was aware of the books and stuff like that, because I want to see what his feeling was on it. I know that masculineness in him would be sitting there watching that shit like, really?
Yeah. This is what we doing?
That's what we doing? I gotta hear that, man. I just find myself needing certain things.
I didn't look.
PBS rant. I need Dr. T just be like, really?
Really? Yeah, really? This is what we're doing.
Find it. I never had it before. Wasn't even thinking about it. But once you've had it, it's like, yeah, I need that in my life sometimes. That's fun. Oh, Dr. T. Yeah, Dr. T. You know, man, I got to look. I don't put the Geek Elite up there for no reason. I put that up there because there's some people I really respect their opinion, and that's why I call on them, you know, when I want to digest or dissect something, because I can dissect it my way, but getting consensus, not consensus, but other opinions and other perspectives on the situation makes you
Yeah.
look at the work different. And that's the nature of having intellect and understanding that everybody brings something to the table and using what they bring to the table to enhance your understanding of the material that you're reading. Like the best book reads are usually book reads where you're reading in a group because you all are pulling different things. Like watching the series, I already knew West Coast was going to be hyped about Ray and seeing the belly button blade. I already knew that shit. Why? Not because I didn't know anything about him, because we had already talked about this. I already heard what he was excited about when he was reading the book. So seeing it adapted to television and like, oh, they're showing it. I already knew he was going to be there with me.
Yeah, cause he pulled out the blade early too, man. Said, no weapons. No weapons. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that memo.
Wait a minute, what? That's race.
That's race.
What you doing with that?
Yeah.
Oh man, like you know that was the thing. BGS already knows some of the things I'm like, and I really like Demerzel and Cheddar Hum, and I'm missing that part where you got the slow reveal that they were the same person.
Right.
That this person that was helping Harry the whole time in a prelude was actually Demerzel, the dude he's supposed to be running from. That was a cool reveal for me.
Yeah.
Because you think about it at the time, like this motherfucker connected. How are you able to do all of this shit? But everybody knows him.
Yeah.
And they have some respect for him and will help him outside of their normal rules. They just break rules for him.
Now in the books, he's got a network of humanoids, humanoid robots, that are in key positions, like Doll, Doris. Doris was in a key position.
Right, Doris was there. He put Doris with him early.
Yeah,
like Doris was there.
which is
she got a Wi-Fi link.
which is what Harry did for Gale, right?
Right.
Rafe became his Doris.
Right.
His guide, her guide, her protector, even her lover.
Yep. Everything you need me to be. Her cocky sir.
Cocky sir, yeah.
Gail didn't waste no time. She wasn't like Selden, where he's playing.
No, I want some of this.
I didn't hear no story about
tonight.
Tonight, yeah, I want some of this. Are you going to stay?
Yeah,
right.
I already approved of you at the dock. You had me at the dock.
Said the holograms, like, yep, swipe right.
Yeah, in the book, there really isn't one central hero. There's a hero of the moment.
Hero of the moment. And that's what I really liked about it, that it switched. Like, in this sense, because you're getting Salvador and then you're getting Gale and you're getting a little bit of Harry all at the same time, it's kind of breaking up the sense that this timeline has gone on, and at different points, different people were the focal point of it.
Right.
And when Salvador came in, I thought it was really good to see that somebody rose out of this foundation after Harry has been long dead.
Right.
So he has no real connection to Harry outside of the fact that, look, I was born on tournaments. This is just what I do.
Yeah.
And this don't make sense to me, right?
Yeah.
Of that time to where now it's all blended together. So it's almost like there's no time has really passed.
Yeah.
It's like they're all existing at the same time at the same moment, even though it's jumping back and forth in time frame between years. It's like I like seeing that at this moment in time on Terminus, it was Salvador. It was all about Salvador. He was the one who pushed that idea forward. At this point in time, it was Gale. At this point in time, it was Harry. I like that because to me, that's legacy and lineage going forward. Although they're not related, they're doing what they're supposed to keep this dream going forward.
Like in the books, you don't know what's happening. Everything's around Foundation or Terminus, right? And its interaction. We'd actually have no idea what's happening on Trantor. But in this series, you can actually see the parallels between what's happening in with the Foundation, but also how the Empire is actually declining on Trantor.
Exactly.
parallels.
We get to
Yeah,
see that in real
you
life,
get to see that in
or
real
you
life,
get to see it in real time.
real time. Yep.
Who was it? So here's my take, especially since they're mixing the traders and the encyclopedias. In order
Mhm.
to keep continuity of story, because you have a trader that is on terminus that is interacting with the encyclopedias, when that section or that particular time frame moves on, there's a point of reference for the traders in regards to an audience standpoint of who they're following. Because if I
Mhm.
remember correctly, the traders and encyclopedias, they are separate as far as timeline wise. Like they jump like years before each other.
Mhm.
They're not interlocked in regards to their particular crisis. So what I think that what they'll do on this next one is, whatever happens, because right now they're at the one scene where old girl's hemmed up.
Mhm.
After that crisis, after that crisis,
West
after that
Coast
crisis,
lingo. Yeah, she got him up.
yeah, she got him shot her dog and everything, or her little alien dog and everything.
Asian dog and everything. Fuck this thing.
And
Like,
you know what? Because you just got me on a drift.
Mhm.
That parallel between the worlds with what
Mhm.
Cleon did and then the people who are coming to attack them now,
Yeah.
I don't think that they were aware of what Cleon did to those planets and what
Mm.
their mindset and like how they feel about the Empire is now.
yeah, 'cause they
So
cut off.
Yeah.
so all their trust and all this confidence in the Empire and having them respond back, I think that is going to play. That's going to be interesting to see what they do with that, where they have this impression that the other colonists are allegedly with them or under, the empire's rule, but really they beefing. So,
They beefing hard. Like,
like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
fuck
forget
them
Normal.
with a
Mabel,
funk.
forget your dog.
Yeah.
We taking you and your dog out. Give us your
Yeah.
valuables.
You're on the
Fuck.
periphery. I don't even know them. Yeah, you was with them though.
Yeah, I'm looking at that ship though.
Yeah, you flying the colors though. What's up with that?
You said that ship got the wrong. That's the wrong color
Long
ship.
insignia on that shit. Sorry.
Mhm.
We got to
Yeah,
see
so
about y'all.
yeah, it
Yeah,
should
so
be
that
interesting.
was interesting. Just to answer some of these questions, to
Mhm.
Winston's point, how much deference was given to Salvador in the book? You're
One of
gonna
the
have to
main,
explain what kind of deference you're talking about.
in other words, basically, Salvador was with the mayors, and the mayors during a certain time periods actually become central characters.
Hmm.
So if you had to be the hero of the moment, like he, she, whatever you want to call it, was actually a hero of the moment, because when you get a crisis, you need a hero, so that you become the central character, and that goes
And
throughout the whole series.
yeah, Salvador stepped up because he
Yeah.
understood something that everybody else didn't. Because what you'll see in the
Mm.
books is that the encyclopedias get locked into their own doxy at some point,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
they can't get out of their own way. And Selden kind of foresaw that a little bit, that
Mhm.
they would just go off in their own way, which is part of this whole Selden plan thing. That
Mhm.
they stick to that shit like a damn religion.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get locked into the
It,
dogma.
to the
Right.
dogma.
And so Salvador was one of the ones to break them out of that shit a little bit, to
Yeah.
actually step up at that moment and actually push them forward out of that a little bit. Because look, the encyclopedias had their head up a book or a book
Yeah.
up their ass. They
Right. It's
Yeah.
did.
like this isn't a part of
Yeah.
the Selden
Like
plan.
like like like
Just
certain
say what.
Christians that we know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They had a book up their ass, and they was missing the big picture, looking at the page. Okay,
Right.
no, but this wording says this. Like, dude, would you look at the whole page, please?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole book. We need to turn the page. They got fixated.
You gotta apply it to your time.
Yeah,
I think
and
that
apply it to your
that's
time.
also important. It's like this is a frame of reference. Like, don't if you lock onto this too much, then you lose the balance of what it was
Yeah.
intended for as an
Yeah.
instrument.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Right. So that's the thing. That's why Salvador was actually one of those characters that I really like when in the book he did
Yeah.
step up. It's like, okay, that was actually really cool. I like that. And then his story begins and ends.
Yeah.
mhm.
Forget about that mayor at that time. You
Yeah.
know, you get into the rest of the traders where it was who was the other guy that came after
Hugo.
Salvador? Hugo. Yeah. You get into those guys and stuff like that where now this foundation, these encyclopedias are actually out in space setting up their own trade routes and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
They're interacting with the greater galaxy now
Yeah.
from this one spot that they just started, which was just like a little crap colony.
Crap planet. Yeah.
You know, so it was a reason why they picked that spot way out there in the middle of nowhere, because in a sense they turned it into the center.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but
Yeah,
that's
another way.
that's the more meta of the story.
In the
outside
book
of-
says with the book, I think he said they picked Terminus because they were actually forced to innovate because there was nothing there.
There was nothing there.
Yeah,
They would have to eventually um, be let go from the empire. Would eventually let them go because they
right,
couldn't maintain their power way out there.
right,
So it would force them to actually develop their own sense of power
right. Yeah, sense of
and
power,
by trade and everything else. And that's why
and
you see these
and
generational blocks go.
and since they had very few resources, they had to figure out how to uh, new ways of making those resources stretch, new inventions, stuff like that. They actually started uh, like a revolution,
Yep.
a technological revolution on
Like dropping a kid into the wilderness.
right, right,
You're gonna
yeah,
survive. Look, you got all this stuff you need, but you're gonna be here until you figure it
yeah,
out.
yep,
We'll get
Or
back to
die.
that. Yeah,
yep.
or not. Either you eat the wilderness or the wilderness eats you.
Leash you.
Either way, somebody gonna eat.
Yeah.
You or the
And
wilderness.
then there was one more thing I wanted to mention was in that trial scene, or no,
Mhm,
it was post trial between the the days as far as the emperors and Harry
mhm,
Seldon.
Mhm.
Harry didn't have to do that little boy like that. When when they're talking about the three clones, he's like, yeah,
mhm,
we are all emperors and we can, they were arguing how the empire was going to stay and wanted to understand
mhm.
Harry's philosophy and understanding of how the empire will fall. And he was like, look at this little boy. He's a young grape on an old vine. Like,
Yeah, that was a
Oh,
shot. But
that was
look,
cold. The
look,
shot
that's
fired.
somebody writing some shit in there. But when you
Uh,
put the fact that they got this lineage cloning going on, look,
yeah.
it's begging a shot. It's begging a shot from somebody.
And the
You got
little
to
boy
write that
just
in
sitting
there
there like,
somewhere.
I'm going to remember this man.
Yeah, I don't know this Selden, but fuck him. What?
Yeah.
I got a lot of years to ponder on this, old man. Okay, let's see
hmm
you.
hmm
Let's see about your ass. Yeah, that was a shot that was unnecessary. You're right. It's like kicking a kid when you walking out the courtroom, like boom. Like, why you
Out
kick
my
that
way,
kid? He
little
didn't do
man.
nothing to you.
you're a young grape on an old vine, bitch.
Yeah.
It's like your ways are tired. So one of the things that I do like is nuance is the conversation. I think that the dialogue between characters um outshines, not even outshines, but is an element that I like in regards to
Mhm.
keeping to the core principles of what Asimov was trying to convey
Yeah.
in his main story. Um, because even in that shot, it speaks to the original point that um, yeah, the empire in itself, it will become stagnant because you have this one ruler, and although there may be
Mhm.
slight variations in this ruler, the
Mhm.
actual philosophy and the
Yeah.
ideas aren't able to adapt and expand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's gonna because a lot of things become institutionalized and become a dogma. And people forget what the
Hmm.
original intent was about.
Right. And that's
And
why
then
you
John,
need. That's why you need that innovation to come and
Hmm.
push ahead. You need those people to actually stand up and ask the questions about this to take it in a different direction. Like, why do we do it this way?
Yeah.
Because we always have. Yeah, but
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You need
And sometimes, like even in your trade, artisan, you see a building and uh, it was built like maybe 100 years ago, right? Said, well, okay, why did they do it this way? There's a reason that they did it, but the knowledge has been forgotten. It used to be
Yeah,
Hmm.
standard. Yeah.
yeah. It's a reason for there. At least, especially in construction, there's always
Hmm.
a reason for why they did it, and that's where you get innovations in how you actually change construction technology and to make it new implements to do the same thing. But
Hmm.
you have to understand why it was designed to do that anyway, what it
Yeah.
does and why it was designed to do it. The perfect
Right.
example is if you walk by a brick building and you see little rod or not even rods, just nuts or whatever hanging out that brick building. What is it there
Hmm.
for?
Hmm.
Why
Hmm.
is it there? If you don't know it's there to hold the damn wall up, you just think that's kind of stupid, or you pay no attention to it whatsoever.
Right.
Most
Hmm.
people don't, but people in the trades look at that stuff and understand and start figuring out like, okay, how does that function? What is it doing? What is it doing for the building?
Hmm.
Okay, now that I know that, how can I implement something better and innovate something better to do the
Right.
same job with maybe better material, less material,
Hmm.
and a better job at it to last longer? all that goes into construction is understanding that part of it. What's the purpose of this thing that you have? What's the purpose of it, and how do you design it to work better and longer? That's construction innovation in a
Right.
nutshell.
Which is, I
Um,
mean, that's what you need. You know, you need meaningful, just to kind of piggyback, asking meaningful questions.
Mm,
Because what I also liked in what they included in the story was, you know, Harry Seldon as this terrorist or as this person who's calling against empire. It's like, what's the difference between him and a charlatan? We've had those individuals who have always said, oh, the empire is going to fall. It's like, no,
mm,
he has insight into what he's saying and actual numbers and math to be able to provide evidence of this theory. And he's not saying that the empire is going to fall in attempts to grab power or to, you know, cause disruption, but to provide a forward-thinking solution. And I
right.
think that, you know,
Sure.
you see that trend. You see that trend with, you know, with Salvor and whoever the hero of the moment is. They're not trying to cause a ruckus for the sake of causing it, you know, just to see stuff explode, but to try to solve a particular issue.
Right.
You know.
Solve the problem that they have at the time that they know is
mhm.
coming. They have to
Mhm.
deal with it. So they're being proactive in the sense of how they deal with this problem rather than waiting for it's all falling apart. What do we do now? We should have thought about this 1,000 years ago, 100 years ago.
Right.
We're already always on this track, you know.
Yeah,
Whether you slowed the train down or sped it up was totally up to you. It's too late at the point where things are falling apart.
yeah. By the time you see it, it's too late.
Yeah,
Exactly.
too late. Coming around the mountain, homeboy. So that's what I like about this series because it does do that. It does let you play out and reading it in. I would say reading it in the actual order where you start with prelude and then go on to the foundation.
Yeah.
Me is the best way because you see that time span play out. Stand up.
Absolutely. I think that, I mean, that's probably be the most important in regards to takeaway, or
Yeah.
that's what resonates with me the most, at least for the audience that
Mm,
is watching this, is to having that understanding that having a vision of how societies develop and how things are
right.
cultivated. And sometimes what is current can be a hindrance or a roadblock, a potential roadblock that can end to people's destruction.
Yeah.
Um, that, you know, all for the sake of interest. I think
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me, the biggest thing was this last California recall with Newsom,
That's
bro. So not even from a political standpoint, but just looking
one
at
right there.
what
I mean,
the
that's one
priorities
right there.
are on
Yeah.
like all of the ballots from Caitlyn Jenner to all like this random
Oh
dude
Lord.
from
Yeah.
San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
Everybody was focused on, you know, gender politics, relations. I
Mhm.
think there's only two people that actually called out the drought that we're going through as far as like
Yeah.
water levels.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and it's like, look, we can play identity politics all we want right now, but if
Mm,
nobody has water, all of that goes
yeah.
out the window.
Well,
All that
that's true.
don't even matter.
No, nobody's talking about that. They talk about climate change and stuff like that, but seas rising and icebergs melting, all that kind of stuff. But nobody talks about the desert that's growing
Hmm.
in on the west of the Mississippi.
Right.
Hmm.
Nobody talks about that.
And
And
so
trying
when
to.
people try to call this out, and then the game of politics, just the game in general, because it's
Mm,
not, you know, localized to politics, but just the game of social interactions,
hmm.
people have enough leverage where something that can be, that is a legitimate priority in the sense of, if nobody has water, no matter what you believe, you will
Right.
die, gets to be debatable over identity politics, gender politics, or whatever else that may be considered
Yeah.
secondary or tertiary within the context of human society as a whole.
Until it's
So
too late. Until
until it's
Until
too
it's
late,
too
right?
late.
It's like, oh yeah,
and
we got a water problem. Like, yeah, we've been had a water
Yeah,
problem,
we've been at it.
you know.
yeah.
We was all focused on keeping people on social media or whatever, what was the crate
Hmm.
challenge, or talking about whatever else that can be of relevance. Because I think
Hmm.
that that's what I like about Asimov's writing is it's not so polarized where this is right, this is wrong. It's a matter of priority. And math,
Hmm.
I think what do they say? Math plays no favorites.
Yeah.
No, it
Right.
doesn't. It's
So
just numbers.
just looking at numbers as what it is and being able to interpret it, moving
Mhm.
to that line of thinking will be something that's something that can be applicable to today,
Mhm.
where people get so entrenched in their dogma, and you see the power of socialization, um, that they'll end up destroying themselves, and this is how you end up in this dark period. So that's the stuff that I like about what I like about the show is they keep to that same vein. If you are watching for it, and if you know the books, or if you study how humans or how society works,
Yeah.
you'll like that. Like, okay, they're still keeping that outside of all the other stuff that they have thrown
Well,
into the
well,
jungle.
if you don't, basically, that's what the book is based on. Okay,
Mhm.
if you don't keep that, then it's not foundation; it's something else.
No, it's somebody else's story
Yeah,
with money behind it.
yeah, yeah,
Right. Which is what the Empire wanted, because Harry was like, "Oh, you just gonna send us to term?" Even though he was playing into their hand, it's
yeah.
like, "Oh, you're gonna send us to Terminus, and if we're successful, you're gonna take it as your own. But if we fail, we're gonna die." And then it
Die
shot to
alone.
Brother
Yeah.
David
Yeah,
with
not
that
alone.
smirk, like, "Ha ha, this is my plan all along." Like the fact that Harry knew that, and, he gave him or he gave Gale the follow up smirk, like, "Yeah, this is psychohistory. What do you?" Once you understand people, then
Yeah,
It's easy to
you'll be
predict
able to.
it.
yeah. Which is a lot of what I do is what will people do in a certain situation? You look at the
Right.
variables and said, okay, I'm a person, I'm a human being just like everybody else. What would I do if I was in that spot?
Mhm.
Looking at everything, and it's not 100%, but 80% of the time you can get pretty
80%.
close.
Look,
80%.
80% is good. That's why I like I told you before, that's why I like psychology and philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Psychology of what this individual will do, and the philosophy for what this group of people would do all together, thinking this way.
Right.
Which
Right.
way are they going to move?
Yeah.
It's very easy to understand, especially like you've used before many a time.
Mm,
Shepherd to the sheep. You
yeah.
know how to move that flock if you know which sheep is to lead.
Yeah.
You know how to lead it. You
Yeah.
know how to move that flock in that direction. It may take a while, but look, even the Titanic could have turned if it started
Yeah.
early enough. You know,
That's true.
saw that iceberg coming, not being fucking, having that hubris. Nah, we good.
And that's how come a lot of people that study psychology become marketers.
Yeah,
I-
that's
yeah.
that's why
That's
psychology got into marketing, because you need to understand people, what they want, what drives them, what motivates
yeah.
them, and what will
Mm,
catch their attention to get them to do that shit.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, I don't use my powers for evil, but
Because it's a tool. I mean,
but
yeah, because it's a
But
do
tool.
it
but
for
if
shit.
but if you could,
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool at the end of the day, and that's what Selden said is like,
That's all it is.
because it's a tool, if it
Mm,
gets in the wrong hands, then it can be used destructively. But if it's in the
and
correct hands, it can be used constructively. It's impartial.
it
So,
has, yeah. It's
which is
like
Yeah.
why
any other
he
cat.
held it to himself and only had so few
Certain
people around him
people.
who actually messed with the prime rating, actually knew the formula and stuff
Mm,
like that, and what he was actually planning even behind that. Some people didn't know none of that shit. Kept it to
Hmm.
himself because
mhm.
Right.
he had to. It's protecting, a lot of people just by having that knowledge. Once he finally got psychohistory, understood what it was that he had, that
Mhm.
the emperor pretty much kind of got, and Demerzel immediately realized as soon as they heard his little brief, like, interested.
Hold
No, that
on.
wasn't
Mhm.
interested.
Yeah, that sounds accurate than a
Go pick
mug.
him up. We need to go pick this dude up. He don't know that he got it. Yeah, he may have it, but he don't know he got it yet. Let's get
Right.
him before he figures it out.
Or even the potential. Like, it doesn't even matter if it's accurate. People
Right.
believe you.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as you have people's belief,
Yeah.
you can. The world is your oyster. So.
Yeah. Look, it would have been a religion, as we know in the books.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I mean,
the
it
more
became
people,
a religion.
Yeah,
The
that's what I'm
encyclopedia.
it
You
did.
doing that statue? That ain't here. That ain't the statue of Harry. That's the statue of Selden the Great.
Right.
Ray, he hit up Ray like, look, I know you got the blade from Billabutton. I'm gonna need you to do me this solid. Folks know me too. Look, they know me too well. They call me by my first name. We're gonna change this.
They're getting real familiar with me. I don't like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doctor. Now what happened?
Yeah,
Yeah,
put
we
me
need to
in
put
there.
that doctor
I
back
know you got it
on.
on you. I know you got it on you. You got that thing
I
on
know you got it on you, bro.
Yeah, you got it on you. Right?
Don't make me pull this out.
Yeah. But I appreciate you brothers for coming up here. I'm gonna close this out now so I
All
can
right, sir.
get
And
my
and check your emails in like 15 minutes.
Oh, I will, because I need to watch some shit tonight. I got to watch Dave Chappelle tonight, and then I want to.
Oh yeah, you ain't seen Dave yet?
Nah.
I heard people talking about Dave, and I wanted to be able to sit down and watch it and not watch it at work in my van.
Okay.
Look, some things I want to watch on a big screen. Some things I can watch on a small screen and just get the gist
Okay.
of it. I want to see Dave on sitting at home, relaxing, having me a drink. I don't want to be sitting.
You probably need a drink with Dave, though. You know.
Look at this motherfucker right here. This
Who's that?
just
yeah.
woke up. I knew you
woke
were gonna say that. You boy. Boy. I got something for motherfuckers like you.
Man, fuck them niggas.
I got something for you. You something else, Artie. I knew you was gonna be asleep, homeboy. That's why I said it early. I knew you was gonna be asleep.
Perfect time. Hey, what we talk about with psychohistory, understanding people.
Understanding people. When I sent that email out, I said, Artie Moore gonna be asleep. Watch. Watch.
Foundation formulas, man.
Yeah, all that bull. I told you, man. I don't use my powers for evil, man, but I do use them. Name my son Xavier. What that tell you? I got psychic.
Oh shit.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Come on, man. But anyway, thank you, brothers. I do appreciate y'all coming up and sharing your time and your intellect with me and the audience that was watching. Wish we would have started earlier. Wish we could have had this goofy bastard up here sooner. But next time. BGS, I do have something for you tomorrow, because I watched your video that you put up last night about the education thing with the men not going into education, and I think I saw an interesting parallel. I'll go into it tomorrow.
Okay.
I do a regular show, so I have to save some stuff for later. Like I got to keep my mouth shut.
Nobody actually went back to the original article. That's what I did.
You know people don't do. What do Grinch always say? Niggas don't read.
No nigga don't read.
Niggas don't read, dude. That's not a lie, dude. I need
You know what?
I got right on the front and say niggas don't read.
Yeah.
They'll never see it, never respond to it.
I need a T-shirt.
I need a T-shirt. Niggas don't read. Look,
niggas
You
don't
need a
read.
jacket. It's called Bill Button Discussions, man. Boy, y'all be carrying the mantle. Like I be checking out some of these. I'm like, boy, patient.
All you need to do is go working with the heat sinks.
And the heat sinks, man.
I think I'm working Napa in the summertime. I thought that was the heat sink.
What do they call those workers? Heat sinkers? What do they call them?
I gotta look it up.
The dolls.
I know the dolls. Well, actually, the dolls were the dollars, which are in India.
The higher class.
The low class. No, the dollars are actually the black people in India. The low class.
I can't remember what they called them. They did have a term for them, but it was some derogatory shit.
Yeah.
Because they basically work in manual labor. These were the people, for all y'all who don't know, these were the people who worked on the machines that kept that society running.
Right.
Even though they don't know what the hell it does, they're still working on it to make sure it keeps running. So it keeps pumping that heat from the core.
For the core. Otherwise, the whole planet will die.
Yeah, they won't have any heat or anything. It'll be just frozen over. Because most of the stuff was all under domes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I thought it was the Dallites. I thought they were the Dallites. But
I mean the dolls. I'm talking about the job that they did. Yeah.
Oh, the actual work.
The actual work. Yeah.
Yeah, you still trying to. Artie Idmore, I was getting off of here so I can do your panel, you sleeping ass motherfucker. The only reason I was shutting this down, not because I wasn't enjoying the conversation with these brothers about the foundation. Only reason I was shutting this down was to get on your panel. Now, are you still doing it, or do you need another hour to, beauty sleep and, powder your nails and put your fingernail polish on, or what? What? Tell me now. Tell us all. We interested. That's the only reason I was closing it down, just to make sure I made your panel, because I wasn't going to be late.
If we understand the caste system, though, we're talking about in the books there were certain jobs that they did, that to keep the planet running, because Ray's father was one of those, and he was actually destined to actually go work in the same field.
Right. He was.
Yeah.
He was supposed to.
I know the second kid that he picked up
He
was
said 1 hour
Evernote.
before his nose.
Oh God.
Because that's the doughboy. Let's hope
That's
you
the
ain't doing it
doughboy.
that
Yeah.
way.
You gotta put some flour on the dough so it doesn't stick.
Gotta butter,
Bread man.
gotta butter his brioche.
Butter the brioche.
Gotta butter his brioche for a minute. You're supposed to do that when you was laying down, sir. All right, you got an hour, homeboy. You got an hour. Y'all want to go longer? Or you good?
It's
Popping
up
off
to
now?
you. It's on you.
It is up to me. Oh, look, I ain't got nothing but time. I'm here all day. Like I told you, I'm missing my Blue Angel. Somewhere out there, there's a bunch of planes flying around doing some tricks that I wish I was doing.
Oh, they're doing it today?
Yeah, it's Fleet Week.
Oh, Fleet Week. Okay.
So I leave here. I got to go over to either today or tomorrow. I got to go over to Frisco and get my, have my yearly constitutional with some clam chowder. I need that shit.
Go.
It's time. It's time.
Yeah, so they were called heat sinkers. They're just
Heat
called heat
sinkers.
sinkers.
Okay,
Heat
they were
sinkers,
called
okay.
sinkers. That's easy.
And-
What you got? You got an Evernote too, West Coast?
Man,
You put that shit up like
I
that.
actually do have an Evernote. Surprisingly, I did, man. Yeah, I don't. BGS, I'm gonna have to hit you up on how you like retain all that information that you retain on that Evernote, and when you get it,
I dump it in there and I do a search, man, and then stuff comes up.
it's like Control F.
Yeah,
just put in a keyword. But
just put in a keyword. Yeah, and the stuff comes up. Sometimes it's surprise. Oh, I didn't know I had that.
right,
Like, yeah, like it goes all the way back to what 2005 when the program first got into it. So it's a pretty big database.
Well, that's interesting. I should do that with my keep. Because usually my keep is where I keep all that stuff like that. But most of the time with the books and stuff like that, I just remember that stuff off the top of my head. It's just how my brain actually works and catalogs that shit that I can pull it up. But it usually only comes up in conversation. That's what. When young folks getting older, figure out what your problem is when you get older. My problem is recall. Recall works better in conversation than it does just sitting on the spot. Like, what was that again? Yeah. But conversationally, the association comes together really quickly. That's how you know if you're losing your mind. If you can't make quick associations like that, you're actually pretty stupid. But it's okay.
I'm almost up to like 25,000 notes on my Evernote. Okay, pretty big database.
I mean, that's the power of technology. So you don't have to always keep it on.
The thing is I'll remember stuff. The thing is, how do you reference it and show people and go back to it? Yeah, and some of the stuff that I have is not even on the internet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're in books. Is that a societal breakdown right there, or is that just people removing information like 1984, going back and just deleting shit? I call it 1984. I say that's some Winston shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
You just going back removing shit from the internet just to make sure everybody came.
The Ministry of Truth.
Ministry of Truth. BGS no. The Ministry of Truth specializes in lies. That was the funniest thing in that book. How many oxymorons it was. Mm-hmm. Like the Ministry of Love. They torturing people in this building. Love. They gonna make you love them when they finish.
The Ministry of Peace.
Mm-hmm. That causes war.
That was that newspeak, that Inksalt.
That newspeak. Yeah.
Everything was opposite of what it actually meant. It's like calling. Well, let me not get into pissing off the alphabet community this week. But calling shit what it's not. The opposite of what it actually is. Like,
I mean, that's one of the drawbacks with so much knowledge being available. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with it, is because it's impartial. Anybody can use it for their own interests. And if you have a certain set of people or a certain amount of people who have this knowledge, it's difficult for you to control them, for lack of a better term. Hence, most people should be blue pill in the sense of running a functional society, because when you get to the higher up you go, the less reassuring it is in regards to, this being definite or this being doctrine, and setting up boundaries and rules and order. And when everything becomes debatable, then, you can never truly create a level of innovation. There's a certain level of innovation that ends up being lost because folks are so focused on creating their own versions of things
Well,
or whatever.
the thing is that old techniques get lost because they're replaced by something new,
Right.
and then after a couple of generations, people forget about the old technology. That's what happened with the Y2K bug, right? A lot of
Mhm.
the old guys knew the old programming that the banks were actually set up on, but the thing is, it had been lost uh, because C and C plus plus and other newer languages actually rose up, so people forgot. Nobody actually fixed the old stuff because nobody actually knew how to read it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
They had to relearn it.
To that
Yeah.
point, BGS, because I've been learning JavaScript in two different ways. Like one is the actual college course, and then the other one is through just an online course. One is the fast track way that gets you functioning as just a programmer, or if you want to sharpen up your skills to stack. But the other one actually goes through the history of what JavaScript was, how it got developed, how it ended up expanding to different browsers, the name in itself, the old
Yeah.
methods and elements. That's what this current course
Mm-hmm.
includes, but the newer courses, the ones that typically get promoted, just says this is how you do it and this is how you make money. And one
Right.
of the discrepancies that
The American way.
I noticed is that a lot of the newer, especially the programming in itself, a lot of it
Yeah.
is auto-populated and it's
Yeah.
auto-filled. And
Yeah.
so
Script
all of the
kiddie.
older methods, if you needed them, or if there was something else that needed to be added, you don't
Yeah.
have that in your repertoire to
Right.
be able to apply. So if you end up in one of these antiquated systems, or even these newer systems, Facebook,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
where if somebody,
It
because
ain't shit.
like my
Fired.
what's it called, my like in the little tech circle that I'm in, they were all laughing and why that ended up failing, because it was something that was as simple as something that happens in other people's tech corporations, where if somebody pushed out a bad DNS record, then everything that's attached to that address ends up failing. It just so happened that it was tied to Facebook, WhatsApp, and
Oh,
Instagram.
okay. Oh,
Is that
that's
what
what
happened? I just thought somebody really just was getting cyber hacked badly.
No, well, that's
I
what
thought
they say. So
I
there's a
thought the
little Reddit
Chinese did it.
chat. There's a little Reddit chat.
Them or they buddies.
There was an internal post that was made that a person that was working on that fire that was in Facebook that made it, and they actually spilled. They let the cat out the bag, because like 20 minutes later their account profile got deleted, and the dude had to hit up the admin like, hey, you got to remove my post. But the bloggers had already caught wind of it
Oh,
and posted it. But yeah, it was something as simple as that. But from the user side, it's like, oh yeah, they getting hacked, or I'm not able to refresh my feed, or I was talking to a fellow, I forgot who I was talking to, but we were just talking about how people have been conditioned to be on their phones and be technology driven instead of person
right.
driven. So
Yeah.
you had a group of people that were all like in a lunchroom, and they were all just trying to hit refresh on their feed. And
Yeah.
there's only one person that asked somebody like, hey, is your app working? It's like, no, I've been getting refresh this whole time. And it's like, you got 5 people in the room. Nobody thinks to communicate with another
Yeah.
person. They just
They don't know
refresh
how.
their feed.
Well, that's the funny part, because I didn't even hear about this to the next day. It said Facebook was down all like half the day yesterday. It's like, really? It didn't matter to my life at all. I didn't notice, because
Yeah.
I'm not on there like that. But apparently some people was actually freaking out, like, oh, it's the end of the day.
Oh,
So it's like,
yeah.
Facebook went down?
Yes.
No,
that's
in the
what-
cat videos. I mean, what the fuck?
Yes, it's Sandar who's in the
Yeah,
in the
he'll-
Middle East, man. He told me. I said, wait a minute, I don't know. He said, is
Yeah.
Facebook down? I said, I had to go look.
Yeah, because they are targeting the younger generations, because this is their environment. Everything is all technology, and so
Yeah.
because their objective, because they are a business, is to keep people glued onto their screen. And I think that there is a generation now that has been accustomed to being on their screen. And with that, the trade-off is you lose other skills, you lose other functions. They're still
You do.
available, but they're just not.
You
You don't
don't know
think
how
to
to use
use
it.
them.
Yeah.
You don't think to add somebody. Like, yeah, I'll share this. At work, I'll write like a DB report, like a database report for somebody, and a person will be in the same department. I know that they talk to each other. I'll get a ticket next week asking for the same exact thing that the person before asked for, and I'm thinking to myself like, do you not talk to each other about like the stuff that y'all share? Is this like a hush hush thing? And I have to realize or remember sometimes, like I have to put myself as an end user or a user and how they are going to use this particular technology, because how I would use it isn't going to be how they would use it. And so leaving out certain information like, hey, you can share this with this person or include this with your team so that they can actually use it, as a part of my dialogue, because millennial and younger, the expectation is you're to give the information up front so then you can build off of it instead of you inherently or intuitively just, being able to use it. Like that's just how we primarily have been socialized. And I think that ties to the foundation too, and the fact that they rattled off all that information in the beginning, because the art of show don't tell is a little
Yeah.
bit lost in our generation, and we usually wait for the explained videos. Like all of the, like this is a trend that I noticed. Like you'll a video or a piece of content, a piece of art will come out. People will watch it and they'll just absorb the images, the sounds, the everything that comes with it. And then what they'll do a couple of days later, or maybe same day, is look up, you know, content, movie, stream, show explained, or
Yeah.
this explained.
Yeah.
That's how we've been accustomed. That's how we've been trained. And I think that's probably the dilemma you may be in, BGS. I mean, we talk about this where when you share some content, the implied expectation is you grab it and you use it and you study and you build off of it.
Right.
When this generation is, give me what you need to know in bullet points,
Yeah.
because I have 100 other items that are vying for my attention where I'm not able to sit down and process it. So there is a bit of a it's almost like a null field. It's almost like a null field, because this is something that I have to practice myself, because I am in this cohort too, where you just get bombarded and inundated with so much information that you're not able to critically think unless you've been instructed like, hey, this is how you sit down and process information. And you have these people who are a lot more reactive and respond in this manner. Whether or not that's by design, again, this is why I like talking about the foundation and applying it to our current life,
Yeah.
because there's a reason why this is being dropped outside of people being fans of the foundation, wanting to see this in the big stream, which I appreciate. But the collective or the cohort that's being managed, leaders that are in place, if this wasn't something that should have been out, they could have easily pulled it. So there must be something that they're trying to communicate along with the other pieces of content that they're dropping now to lead this next cohort to their crisis.
This
But
leads into BGS. We'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah.
This leads into something that I okay, just go ahead, West Coast. I'm just saying, yes.
No, but yeah, but there's so much. But here's what I think.
With you.
No, but this is what I think, at least from a tech perspective, because the expectation is people are already have given their free will to the algorithm. There's always this big boogeyman, the algorithm, when really the algorithm is impartial. So the objective currently, like when I sent you that one video, BGS, in regards to that hearing, it's like, well, can people control their AI, right? In my opinion, there's a group of people that say no, where it's like they need to be controlled because they've been socialized to, in a sense of the idea of critical thinking has been filtered out nowadays, and everything has to be explained. And because they've been so not desensitized, but because they've become so dependent on it, it's like the algorithm is controlling you when really the code is just giving you what you're asking for. But if you don't think to ask what you're asking for, then it's not going to give it.
You become dependent on it. So in other words, that's the problem. What you used to do on your own, and you used to have to figure out, like roll your own, you become dependent on it. look at all the tech that's around us, man. What if they're just up and vanishes? Like you have to go get your own water, grow your own food,
Hmm.
build your own house. Okay,
Be like
that
the
kind of
end
stuff.
of Escape from LA. Welcome to the
Yeah,
human race.
yeah, yeah.
Powers
Right.
out. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
Yeah, but the algorithm itself is impartial, and so you are gonna the dilemma, at least from a coder's perspective or somebody who's a developer,
Hmm.
if you're thinking about ethics in regards to how you're developing it, is well, I know that people are going to behave in this manner. How can I allow for sort of like the architect? How do
Hmm.
you give people what they want without giving them what they want? Like that conversation that the architect had with Neo. I think that's probably the best way to illustrate it. Where our
Without
first program version of the Matrix, we gave people what they wanted, all of the pleasures in life, and they rebelled against it. And
yeah,
then
they
we gave
reject
them,
shit.
they rejected it. And so we went to the other extreme where,
Give you the
we gave them
suffering.
all pain, they all suffering, and they rejected that. So now we have a program where people have this belief system that continues to cycle, and you are, I forgot the iteration that Neo was in order to make this
13.
decision.
Hmm.
Um, you understand that I don't know. It's playing with the idea of what the human actually is from a conscious perspective, all the way down to the things that you can apply to a robot's perspective.
Yeah,
Like, yes,
yeah.
they have functions. But
Like Art of Itmore just saying, trying to used to have phone numbers committed to memory.
Mhm.
Like I can't even think of a phone number that I have, even including my own, that's committed to memory. I have to actually think about what my phone number actually is.
Yeah,
hmm
I do
hmm
that. That was one of the things I was worried about because I understand. Yes, technology makes stuff easier, but the more the technology does for you, the more your actual wetware is not actually working.
Right.
And if you don't use those pathways in your brain, studying psychology and neuropsychology lets you know that you will lose that shit. You will
Yeah.
start losing it, and you will notice. And the fact that you can't remember numbers now, if it's
Hmm.
not something that's been in your long term memory for a long time,
Hmm.
I mean, you just lose it because if your brain's not working in that way, it just prunes it off. It's
Yeah.
like it's a dead vine. You're not using this pathway. We might as well close it. So I
Yeah.
worry about that because it gets into human functionality
Hmm.
mentally. You know,
Yeah.
you're so dependent on this system that, like West Coast was saying, what if it were shut off?
Yeah.
How would you function? You probably
Yeah.
wouldn't remember how to function solely. It's like this could be worrisome in a technologically advancing society.
Because I actually did an experiment on my last live stream, right? I said, how many people are actually afraid of being followed and being tracked, right? So I said, just put it up there, right? How many people
Way
hate
more
being
than
tracked? I said, put in the two. So we had all these twos come up, right? Okay. Now I said, now how many of you guys carry a smartphone?
how many of you are on the internet right now? That's why I can't get into this argument with people when they get into this vaccine thing. Like, oh, they're just
Yeah.
trying to track you. They're trying to inject you with a chip. Like, motherfucker, there's chips
You
everywhere. What are you
do
talking about?
not need a
Your
chip,
phone,
Playboy.
your credit card, your
Yeah.
debit card,
Yeah. Yeah.
your car, everything. You already being tracked. What are you talking about? Man,
Like like
calm down.
like like every minute your phone stores your location.
Yeah,
Every
And then periodically you will actually upload it to where the server is.
yeah.
it has
Like,
your
come
phone.
on,
Matter of
man.
fact, this may be adventures. I'll send it to you in Artisan.
Okay.
There's a place in Google where you can because there are people who are aware of this and actively trying to combat it. There is
Mhm.
a way for you to get the information that Google stores of
Oh
you,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
within
you can get it.
from the beginning of time, from the things that you voice activated, your locations, the
I
things
can
that
get
you
it.
thought you deleted. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the biggest takeaway is that understanding that one, people are creatures of habit, and that things that can be of your benefit will be of your destruction if you don't properly use them. Tools are meant to be tools. You use them, don't let them
Mhm.
use you.
Mhm.
And if you come in it with that mindset, then things like the algorithm and things like social media and other innovations that should be things that should be celebrated can actually be useful versus it being detrimental because it's being used as a tool of dependency. People not knowing, well, like how long can you go with your phone off? And like that, like the psychological anxiety of being used to, receiving a text message or an email ping.
It's withdrawal.
Have it off or just
psychological
not
withdrawal.
looking at it.
Yeah.
Like,
Even that. How long can you go without looking at your phone?
Can you leave the house and leave your phone at home?
Ooh.
no.
That'll be a good thought.
I do too much on my phone. So that's right. Like I thought about this recently because I'm doing all this stuff for the comic shop, right? So it's new logins to other sites and stuff like that, and information and more passwords and shit like that to remember.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there thinking about this shit because I do have like a file that I keep my passwords in. It's like, look, I lose this motherfucker. I'm not getting into shit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's why they
I'm not going to remember all of these goddamn passwords. I'm going to be locked out of everything. I'm going to be locked out of my own damn life.
Because I still have my old phone because there's so much on it that I still need. I just kept it. Okay.
What up, Dr. T? You you still ain't got time. What you doing here? You got a link if you want to. You welcome to jump up here. We just shooting the shit right now because Artie Edmore is too busy, playing with himself to get up in the morning.
He got to roll his dough.
He was monk rolling his dough this morning.
Yeah. He forgot the flour.
He forgot the flour. What did Dr. T said? Oh no, this is Winston accent. My point. Shout out to Artie Edmore, the Doughboy, for dropping his late fees in the Cash App. Appreciate that. Should doubled it for your late fees, but shout out to Artie Edmore. I will give you that. And just on a side note, for all of you guys listening that don't know, me giving Artie Edmore shit is just because we are kind of friends, just because I've never met him personally. I say kind of, but I'm cool with him, so I tease him. If I don't tease you, I don't actually like you. Just don't. So I only take those liberties with people I know pretty well that we can josh and talk shit to each other and nobody hurt my feelings. Look, I want to fight. Like, calm down. It's the internet, okay?
Yeah, Dr. T. When you see it, man, you're gonna get pissed off at the gender swaps. But I don't think he's ever read the book. So
no, he read everything else.
Oh, he has read everything else, but
I don't know.
Well, Foundation.
If you're not looking for another sword,
if you're not an old school sci-fi head, a Foundation can't slip past you.
Yeah, he hasn't seen it yet. Ooh, that's gonna be fun.
Oh, there's gonna be some meat to chew.
It's gonna be fun. Dr. T, look, I'm not spoiling shit for you. I ain't telling you what to look for. I just want you to watch it. Just please, just watch it. Just watch it. We'll talk afterwards. I just want you to see it. Just watch like a couple episodes. It's only 3. They're very well done. They are. That's why I'm not mentioning about that part.
because normally I have to like stop it and go do something else and come back, but they actually held my attention. It's actually very well done.
Yeah.
So the hour goes by really quickly because
it's
such a good story. Yeah,
I agree. Because when that Sunday you gave it to me, when I got off that stream, I did watch it. I binged that whole thing right then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I watched it right then, and it did hold my interest. Like, oh damn, this is actually pretty good. I'm getting kind of pissy, but it was still good. You got to talk to your local pusher. Unless you have Apple TV. If you have Apple TV, you in the house.
Yeah. I thought you got the hookup, but we'll take care of that. We'll take care of that.
There's a little plug in the back of the Billy button.
You got the Billy button plug. Yeah,
Billy button plug. Whoa.
I'm telling y'all, I need a replica of that knife.
Yeah, that knife was cool though. I like the knife. It was cool.
It
Look, I like the
was.
blades.
It wasn't no plaything. That was a grown man's knife.
Yeah, it was. I was like, damn, that's it. Oh, that looked cool.
See, they got to do a flashback at least to hit the different spots in Trantor because that builds to the story. I think that they're really trying. For me, you have to sell the story in itself, the actual world that is
Yeah.
facing this dark period. They
Yeah.
can do that. I think that they can do that with the cities as well to include it. Because they gave a preview with Cleon when the main the name slips me, but the actual the elevator that they were
the space elevator.
the space elevator, like you got to see that was prelude. That was prelude when that was being built. So why not go back and include that? Because
With the first
Asimov was really descriptive. Yeah,
because they're really talking about building one here on Earth, space elevator.
Yeah, that's always been one of those ideas that was really interesting to me. The whole idea of a space elevator. And you see it in sci-fi, it'll pop up a couple of different times in a couple of different shows. I can't remember the other one. This one looked really cool because of how big and massive it was. It wasn't just like one small little spire. And so like this shit was actually very massive. It's like a whole building. And the fact that it wrapped around the damn planet like that.
It's how high it was up. Yeah.
How high it was, and it's like, damn, that was awesome. But I get into that shit. That's the nerd in me coming out, like science. I told you, I wanted to be Buckaroo Banzai. I want to be a scientist.
No matter where you go, there you are.
There you are. Say that when I look in the mirror. No matter where you go, it's still that motherfucker. It's still you. It's still you. Yeah. So it's a cool idea, and I like how they depicted it on screen visually, how massive it was.
Yeah.
And tearing something like that down. Just put it this way. Just the technology and how that would actually work.
Yeah.
That you would keep building something upwards that high until it reached outside your atmosphere and basically is operating on the centrifugal force of the planet that's keeping it there.
Yeah.
That's all interesting as fuck to me. That's like spinning a yo-yo around your finger. Well, it's really interesting. So my brain is working on at what point does gravity take over and the momentum take over to where it's just stretched at these 2 points and hanging there. That's some science question for me. That's interesting shit to me. Which books have we touched so far? So far, it just seems like they've done some parts of Prelude to the Foundation and then some parts of Foundation.
Right.
itself.
Yeah.
Maybe second Foundation because I'm still thinking they're leading into introducing.
Because we haven't even seen the vault open the first time yet, so we're still in Foundation.
You don't get the first Seldon crisis
appearance. They're coming up to this first Seldon crisis now.
So that's what Salvor is there for, to get you to that first crisis and get you. Well, it's spoiling it, but to get you through that first crisis because he actually saw that. It was
Yeah.
What's up, Kareem?
Kareem, what's up?
K.A.
Yeah, fellas, but I'm gonna hop off. I really appreciate this Billy Button discussions and Foundation talk.
Like you said, back to Billy Button now. Huh?
Back to Billy Button, yeah.
Back to Billy Button. Yeah, but I'll be waiting on that next pack.
All right.
You'll get the email. And we'll talk to the plug.
Yeah.
Plug,
You got to go see the dealer now.
Yeah, got the party favors in the back for you.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
All right.
Thanks for coming up. Oos. Appreciate West Coast coming up. That was my Foundation reading buddy. So I appreciate him coming up because he really did dive into the book, and you can hear him talking about it. He went at it like a programmer. He learned the code of the Foundation series. He was into it. I may not talk that articulate all the time, but me and him was having conversations in the back going on like that. Other person who read it, who caught up BGS, was Dead Set. He sent me an email yesterday with his thoughts on it, but I didn't read it in there. I'm not gonna read it in here because I'm look. He sent me an email, so I'm thinking of it as private. But he went over some of the stuff that he saw in the show that he really liked, and some of the things that were bothering him.
Yeah.
And
If you if you
we
haven't
kinda
read the book, you probably wouldn't. It probably wouldn't bother you that much because it actually was pretty well done.
no,
They spent a lot of money. The sets were good. The acting was excellent. So you can enjoy it. The thing is, we actually know what the gender swaps actually are, where they actually changes in the book. So,
Mhm.
but other than that, it's actually a very well done show.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not complaining about that because,
Yeah.
like I said, not reading the books. You can watch it and enjoy it. It's not. Yes, there's women characters in it, but it's not forced in your face like that. Like this is just us being empowered. It's not
No.
done that way. This is the way that, in my opinion, some of this stuff should be done. It shouldn't be overstated. It shouldn't be pushed in your face stated. Just tell the damn story and let it
Mhm.
be what it is. And if the story bears out that this person being gender wise this way or the other, kind of works. But like
Mhm.
West Coast said, they did have their dance card filled out. And they checked every box on that motherfucker. There's some of everything in this. I can't think of what they missing unless they have somebody sleeping with one of them animals or something. I don't know. But they checked every other box. All the rest of that stuff is there. So
They damn near had them sleeping with robots. So
damn there. I'm like, I'm waiting for that. Maybe doors will show up later. I don't know. The skin cat people, like West Coast.
The way that little boy was looking at Demerzel when she was fixing herself.
Yeah.
And
Little brother
this-
Don, like you watching too close, homeboy.
too
Like,
close. This is
you got
that's
plans for the next 20
that,
years.
yeah, that's borderline. That's almost a little creepy here. Come on now.
It was a tad creepy to me. Like, you just doing that right in front of him?
Yeah.
I know you're a robot, but you understand decorum.
Yeah.
They might not be real breasts, but they look real to him. Like, shout out to Gregory M. I'm not gonna say yo full government, but he said fold at 3B salute. I will give that to you now, sir. Thank you for your donation. Kareem said he's watching it as well. And
Yeah,
he
brother.
said, Brother Day. Yeah, Brother Day.
Brother Day was he was doing it, putting in work.
He was putting in work. That day did not set. Wait, somebody was dying that day.
His inner Marlowe came out.
Oh my God! His inner Killmonger was out in force, boy. He was not playing. Now that's what you call a box. Shut up, Artie. Shut up. Just fire up your stream, homeboy.
Yeah.
Talk shit to you on your own shit. And what did Keenan say? Funny, the cloud knows my passwords better than me. Yeah, the cloud know all my passwords.
Yeah.
Look, I ain't working with millions of dollars, so I guess they can deal with the little piddly shit I got if they really care that much. But yeah, that concerns me because I'm always on how much your human brain actually works. It's always been one of my things that I really get concerned about, especially when it comes to technology.
Mhm.
And whereas the technology is doing more of the thinking and remembering for you, and you're doing less of it, that concerns me.
Mhm. Yeah.
It concerns me because it's not evolving your mind in a sense. It's degrading in the sense of your mind. And at the end of the day, that's all you got, really. I mean, all this stuff can be wiped away. I've said this to my kids a lot of times. Shit, it ain't gonna take nothing but a magnet to wipe away all the shit that you had.
Oh yeah.
Nothing is actually real now. Everything is electronic or encoded.
Mhm.
So it can all be lost really easily.
One energy crisis away.
One energy crisis away from the book burnings from 1984 actually being true. That's why I call my Kindle Winston or Montag. That's why I call it Montag. That's why I named my Kindle Montag, because it's burning books right there. The books will be lost.
Yeah.
It'll be done. Like, it's all digital.
Mhm.
That's why I bought hard copies of shit personally.
Yeah, because they can revise a section without you knowing about it.
Exactly. That's what an
flip of a
unabridged
switch.
edition is. They
Yep.
offer the book. That's what that means. Learn the language of the country you're in. They altered it, and that's what bothers me. That's why I always
Mhm.
buy hard copies and shit because I don't want an altered copy. I don't need a parental advisory on music that has cursing in it. I assume grown folks and adults talk however they talk and they use whatever words they choose to use. I don't have sensitive ears, so I'm good. There's no cotton balls in them, just earbuds. But got any final words, or not final words, but closing thoughts, Master
Yeah,
Teacher?
yeah, getting ready
I
to
got
go.
the lightsaber out.
Yeah, getting ready to go to the dope shop and get the hookup, man, and
Get that plug out.
get the plug.
Get the plug.
Go to the plug and
Good, I appreciate it. Tell them I'm coming through. Tell 'em
all
I'm coming.
right, all right.
I'm gonna need that next bump. Need that shit, man. Should have had that shit ready for you. Doom, doom, doom. Should have had that ready. Yeah. I'm remiss on this. I had some music ready, but that wasn't it. I should have
That wasn't it.
song. That wasn't the song. Should have used that song. I didn't think of it at the time, but I'll be ready next time. I'll see you coming. But thank you, sir, for coming up here. I do appreciate you being able to
All
jump
right.
up and have this conversation with me, taking some of your time. And again, thank you for sharing that series with me because I do love this series.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I'm really interested in this adaptation of it. Like I said, I'm watching it skeptical because I know how David S. Goyer goes, but
Yeah,
I'm
you
enjoying
you
it
s-
so far.
you said it. You said it. I said we see what he does with it.
Be
But
some
you
weird
said it.
shit happening and shit. I know it. I was surprised. Like, there they go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they can't get past they can't get past 4 lines of dialogue before people stripping off their clothes and fucking like,
Oh
dude,
Lord.
this must be the foundation. Like the foundation. This is a whole nation right here. Everybody getting sex. Like keep your pants off for the next 29 hours.
Said,
Okay.
damn, bitch.
All right. That's different, but
After you finish cooking.
after you finish cooking. I was like, is that the equivalent of barefoot in the kitchen?
Yeah, basically.
You just
Just
ain't
can't get
pregnant
pregnant.
yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. That's a pimp line. I'm about to use that. But anyway. But yeah, that's it. So I
All
appreciate you
right
coming
then.
up. And I will catch you for the next one on this Encyclopedia Negrolactica. I think I misnumbered this one. It should be 3 instead of 4, but I thought there was 3 other ones. But we're good. So
All
thank you,
right, son.
BBS. Peace to
All
you.
right.
I will see
All right,
you in
peace.
these YouTube streets.
All right. Peace.
Looking for the dude with the long coat.
I'm getting ready to go find him now.
All right.
All right. All right, peace.
Peace. Thank you to everybody else in the chat for coming through. Like I said, we got off to a slow start in the beginning, but it's live TV, live television, YouTube. So thank you all for coming through. Thank you for everybody who donated in the chat. This is just for the love of it. This is for the love of this series and the love of this book, and want to share it with people who actually read this material and actually know this material and have their ideas on it. This is just fun for me. So you guys being here adds an extra layer to it, because if you haven't read the series, hopefully we get you guys interested to go back and read the series or listen to it on audiobook or just download it into your cranium, however you do it. But go back and read this series, this foundation series by Isaac Asimov, and see how deeply and how much it overlays onto what you're seeing in the world right at this moment. You'll be surprised, especially for the time frame in which he wrote this book. So it's a masterwork. I would recommend you watch this or go through this series before you see that Dune movie, because you'll see a lot of parallels. It'll be fun for you. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I gotta get to the Doughboy stream if he ever fire that up. Shout out to the Art of Idmore. So it's time for some Gen X's to talk about some Gen X stuff. So thank you guys for coming through. I have been Artisan MC, and I don't have the right closeout for that shit. Imagine that. Oh well, I have to do it this way then. Peace to you guys.
blinky rum when I pull it out, I cock it, watch them all run from the gunplay. Made them lay on their face. And bitch, when I'm spraying, ain't no fucking can of mix. I'm the last nigga to tackle with. I can't and I ain't gon' quit. Dub singing 8 on some working them ankle shit. About time some niggas drop rhymes to make you represent it, putting them fingers out high. High haters from the state of the Raiders, still getting paper dressed like Chicky D. Taylors. Raised by the chef, I lay dip and scrape us. Sticking to the script so this shit can't break us. Touch my chips off, I'll pick y'all. Have your hair rolling on the ground like a motherfucking kickball. And when I'm handling, keep niggas vision like candling. Look, mama, there go that man again.
Here we go again. It's a gangster hit.
You can represent like this.
Here we go again.
Hit it, button.
You can represent like this. Yeah.
Here we go again. It's a gangster hit.
You can represent like this. Niggas, chill. Bitches, chill. You can represent like this. Like